Thank you. At the Learning Planet Festival, we unite and empower thousands of engaged and active youth like you to advance learning on how to protect our planet, take the stage and add your voices to fundamental issues, shape the next generation of youth rights, and interact with thought leaders, educators, social innovators, and game changers creating the future of learning. Because coming together and learning to take care of oneself, others, and the planet is how we power up to shape and own our future. So come on to the Learning Planet Festival and bring your friends.
Welcome to the 2024 edition of the Learning Planet Festival and our latest edition of LP Vision. LP Vision is the Learning Planet Alliance's series dedicated to building a bridge between the worlds of education, business and society and seeking out those that are creating positive new ways for us to live, learn and work. Our guests at LP Vision are people we refer to as architects for tomorrow. Those that have taken great ideas from concept to reality. And through our conversations with them, we want to define the education skills and tools and networks the future generations are going to need. We want to highlight the need for lifelong learning and to create meaningful work and careers. And we want to create connections between those building the future of education and assessments and those building our future companies, technologies, economies, and organizations. And of course, we want to inspire you to take action. My name is Kristen Davis. I'm your LP Vision host. And on this International Day of Education, we've lined up world-class architects for tomorrow for you. These are people that are building a learning planet for living through their work in the fields including science, environment, sports, and culture. I'll not be welcoming and interviewing them alone, though. Let me introduce you to my fantastic co-host, Reem Najjar. Welcome to LP Vision, Reem. It's great to have you with us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Kristen. Hi, everyone. My name is Reem Najjar, and I'm a student at the Learning Planet Institute. I'm originally from Lebanon, and it was while working with Save the Children that I discovered my true passion for education. And that is when I decided to move to Paris. I'm also a Youth Fellow Council member with the Learning Planet Alliance, which is a global network of game changers united to transform education and learning so that we can take better care of ourselves, each other, and our planet. Before we dive into our LP Vision episode Kristen was just telling you about, let me tell you about the Learning Planet Festival that is taking place from the 24th to the 27th of January 2024. This year's festival features more than 500 workshops, discussions, hackathons, and performances in multiple languages. Some are online and some are in real life, perhaps not so very far from where you are right now. What really defines the Learning Planet Festival is its co-construction with the 400+ Learning Planet Alliance partners. By taking part, you will get to meet our amazing community of educators and learning game changers from all around the world. You can check out the full festival program on our platform. The URL is showing on the screen, and we'll be telling you about some of the events not to be missed over the course of our live broadcast today.
Thanks, Reem. It's great to have you with us here and for telling us about the festival. Now, at the Learning Planet, we believe that education must go beyond the traditional classroom and curriculum in order to enable us to learn to take better care of ourselves, each other, and our planet. Hence, using this episode to focus on building a learning planet for living and to look at the environment around us and how we can use science, sports, and culture, not just to help us to survive, but also to thrive.
As well as interviewing architects for tomorrow, we'll also be paying special attention to 3 critical building blocks for a learning planet: intergenerational societies, lifelong learning, and transformative action.
And Reem, talking of action, in just a few minutes, you're going to be interviewing Francisco Vera, a 14-year-old Colombian-born climate change activist who is already having a big impact at a global level. But first, let me introduce you to an architect for tomorrow at an organization that's building a future, a full future for life on Earth and beyond. Welcome to LP Vision, Jim Rhoné.
Hello, Kristen, hello, Reem.
Jim, it's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. You are the VP of Product at Interstellar Labs. We have the mission of preserving life on Earth whilst helping it expand into space. Can you tell us, please, what is Interstellar Labs and a little bit more about your mission and what you're building?
Yeah, absolutely. So Interstellar Lab is a company that's been founded in 2019 by our founder, Barbara Belvisi. And the goal from the start is to deploy life on Earth and in space. And for that, we build what we call the biopods, that are structures with different form factors that are able to, to recreate ideal conditions for plants to thrive. That can have like different applications, such as food production, science for sure, biodiversity protection. So you need to picture is that as big greenhouses that run autonomously, and the main point about this is the idea of the closed loop. So everything is closed loop, recycled, no waste, very efficient. So that's what we do.
Okay, so you have these biopods. Now, as an architect, and you're a true architect and an architect for tomorrow, can you tell us how, with Barbara and the team, you've taken this from an idea, from this vision, to the reality that you're working with today?
Yeah, it's super interesting because the project from the start is essentially a kid's dream. When Barbara started to work on the project, she was back at NASA at this time and starting to picture how we could bring life in space. And the whole idea from that has been taken back on Earth and see how we could, use space tech and all the ideas, the concept about the logic of the system inside and everything, and the closed loop being the main one, and how to apply that on Earth to provide better conditions for plants to grow. So Interstellar Lab, it's a very diverse company made of designers, engineers, agronomists, software developers that together work on product development that have, again, very different form factors, some being made for Earth applications, some dedicated to space, but all with the common goal of recreating the possibilities for plants to grow in ideal conditions in these biodomes that we call biopods.
Okay. How big are these biodomes, Jim, just so that we can get an idea of them in our head?
Yeah, so the first biopod we delivered last year is 12 meters long, 6 meters wide, and 6 meters tall. So it's like a decent greenhouse. Mm-hmm. It's essentially made for R&D and small-scale production. Idea from that is to develop a wide diversity of products, being smaller units that could be used for R&D programs that we run internally. It can turn into payloads that we're gonna send into space station or really soon on the moon. So it can take essentially very diverse form, but with the same core idea of recreating these ideal conditions with a very efficient system.
Fantastic. So in fact, taking this technology that may have been used in space or has grown here on Earth and putting these two together, what has been the greatest breakthrough for you on this journey that you've been on so far in creating these biopods?
Well, my background is architecture, and I quitted the construction industry a few years ago, especially because that project was bridging a lot of different fields. The main one being agronomy and the plant science, and I think that's where the whole magic about what we do stands is understanding the living, mm-hmm. to make our products possible. Biopods are not just just a tech put on the ground and like this. It's essentially a living machine, right? So in order to get your product working properly, you really need to get to the core basics, which is understanding the living, how plants grow, what you need to provide them, and all the environment that's required around to make this happen. So I think that's what everything's passionate about in the company, and that's what we're pushing for during the coming years.
And what has been your most proudest moment so far in this journey?
Well, I guess it was the delivery of our first product, Biopod, that we delivered last September, and well, it was we went super fast from design to production, and the main pride for the whole company was to see this product on site, fully operational, and you know, able to run exactly what we intended for, meaning to have plants thriving inside this biodome.
Certainly, seeing that for the first time must have been an amazing moment for you and your team. But this journey that you've been on, it's not easy taking these things from vision to reality. What is it that you've learned most on this journey, and what is it that keeps you motivated to keep going?
It is very complex when you start bridging hardware, software with the living. It's I mean, the understanding of what lies behind is so important, and it takes you to very deep topics. You need to being on the surface doesn't work for this kind of project. You need to deep dive into the core understanding of everything. That's been the most challenging, and one of the main learning is for sure for the whole team is humility. We have very good designers, engineers, agronomists, but making that a consistent product, able to run with very much efficiency, reducing and trying to solve current problems we have on Earth is really teaches you humility. For sure, failure, iteration, and that current loop, you know, being able to fail and accept failure is super important.
That's fantastic advice for all of our architects out there. Yeah, humility and being able to accept failure, definitely. What is it that you're building at the moment then, Jim? So you mentioned that with Barbara and the team, you've taken this vision and you now have your biopods. What is it you're working on and building right now?
So Biopod, we have currently on site is in our facility was an operational and very functional prototype. The main challenge for this year is we're getting on the market. So basically, we have to deliver these biopods to our customers, being able to industrialize. So that's the main challenge for the year. So currently, the whole team is working on the second iteration of our product. So that we're gonna deliver by the end of the year in the south of France. And parallel to this, we're engaging a lot of projects on the space application. So it's essentially for now payloads that we're gonna send to the space station to study how plants can grow in space, which is a very important topic for the future of space exploration. Another project super exciting that with a mission name called Little Prince that's gonna be sending a payload on the moon. So we locked a payload inside a rover from Astrolab Venturi, and that's gonna be deploying our payload on the moon and see how plants can grow there. So super excited.
That's super exciting indeed, and thank you for telling us about that. We can't wait to follow what you and the team are up to. So seeing how we can indeed make plants and life thrive here on Earth, in space, on the space station and in the moon. You and the team truly are architects for tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with us, Jim. It's been great and an inspiration to have you with us, especially for all of our intergalactic audience. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
So now, our next organization has been an architect for tomorrow since it was founded in 1945. And through its World Heritage sites, it protects and preserves culture, heritage, and diversity. That is our buildings, nature, art, our music, food, and our literature. It also promotes world peace and security through international cooperation in education, arts, sciences, and cultures. And if you've not already guessed, I'm, of course, talking about UNESCO. Did you know that as well as its World Heritage sites, UNESCO also has created initiatives and programs to bridge the digital divide and global movements such as Education for All? To tell us more about how UNESCO is building a learning planet for living, we're going to hand the mic over now to two architects for tomorrow. Stefania Giannini, who's Assistant Director General for Education at UNESCO, and François Taddei, who's the founder and president of the Learning Planet Institute. Let's hear from each of them how they're building a learning planet for living. Welcome to LP Vision, Stefania and François.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Stefania, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. Happy International Day for Education, first of all. And well, happy also to share with you a few thoughts on this interesting, exciting idea that we must be the architects for tomorrow in these troubled times, in this fast changing landscape. Well, UNESCO actually is the guardian of the world, let's say the sentinel of the world, to put it very simply. And I think that the visionary program to protect the cultural heritage, which was launched in the 70s, is really kind of symbol, right? The flagship of the house to demonstrate how is important, is, I say, dramatically relevant, especially now, to preserve what the past is bringing to us in terms of monuments, the tangible heritage, as well as what we call at UNESCO intangible heritage. That means all different aspects of culture and cultural diversity. But now the question is a little bit maybe different. What we have to do to shape the future in a different way, as the world needs a kind of different future. If you want to take seriously the climate action, if you want to protect the planet and to preserve the planet for the future, we need a different generation of citizens. And if we want to deal with technology in a way that is a kind of, balance, being in the middle between the blind fanatism and to be scared and ban technology from the classroom or other aspects of our life, we have to build a new kind of citizenship on this planet. So I see UNESCO as the place where architects for tomorrow, possibly new generations, more than my generation, I don't know, but I say all together, we can build the new vocabulary for this century. It's about inclusion versus inequalities and exclusion. It's about universalism and focusing on the common goods we have versus globalization as a process which actually already left behind so many in education and other sectors. It's actually about putting science, evidence, data at the core of policies and helping politicians and leaders to take very seriously messages and advices from scientists when it comes to health, pandemic, whatever the shock we are going to face, if any ever. So to that end, I think that which is the best platform we have to, put a kind of new legacy to bring to the future, to live to the next generation. And that's what being acting as architects for the future, for tomorrow means to me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Stefania. Thank you for these inspiring words. I think that indeed inviting, as the UN Secretary General did it, he said, there is 4 ways to interact with youth during the Transforming Education Summit that you helped organize in 2022. His answer to the Youth Declaration on the future of education was very inspiring for me and I guess for many of the people around, because he said, there is 4 ways to interact with the youth: ignore them, pretend to listen, dialogue, or co-construct the future. And what you're talking about is, if we want the youth of today to be the architect of the future, we have to be in the 4th category, obviously. That was very inspiring. And I think that, taking his words seriously, and I know, given our many conversations, that, building together a space, a new type of university for the new type of citizens, what we call the planetizens, the citizens of the planet, aware of the planetary boundaries, and it would want to protect the commons that exist, but also create new commons and be recognized for this. So if we have a new generations of architects of tomorrow, and that starts getting credibility and recognition and can climb on the shoulders of giants of the previous generations, that's what a university of tomorrow could be. So it's the university, not just a school of architecture, it's sort of the school of architecture of the world of tomorrow that we are talking about.
No, thank you so much, François, for also reminding us to a very special moment in time last year, now 2 years ago almost, when the Secretary General actually had this direct conversation with young people. And I remember that one of them was very, speaking loud about the role of young people sitting in the driving seat and not simply being part around the table, being in the party, not simply being invited at the party as it usually happens, so to say. Well, universities for sure are the place where ideally this might happen. Universities are by definition and by tradition for generating knowledge, transmitting knowledge to the next generations, and bringing innovation and bringing new systems of, even if it's a very conservative word, we must be very honest and transparent. I'm an academic by job in my life, and I know very well, I was a rector in my previous life, and I know very well that universities, the faculty don't like so much change many times. But now it's a very special time. I think we can build on this new awareness of the crucial role, once again, of science education to address effectively and differently the many challenges that we all have as citizens. So my dream is, in a nutshell, to build together the university for citizens of this planet, which maybe must benefit from all the tradition, all the expertise UNESCO has of the existing universities. UNESCO has, for example, as many of you know, a fantastic visionary network launched 37 years ago, the chairs, the UNESCO chairs, and they are, free to provide the organization with their thoughts, their ideas, their inspiring points for the future. But maybe now we need a further step. We need to bring all together these chairs, but also enlarging the scope of this community. And this university, if ever will happen to be, I see as a kind of reverse pyramid, right? So having young people on the top and senior leaders just kind of contributing to the system of knowledge and innovation. So possibly this is at the very beginning of 2024 a kind of wish we can share. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I love the idea, obviously, and as you know, we've invited young people from all over the world for a design challenge of the Planetarium University. What sort of university do they want for their future? A university that is not designed by, the architect of yesterday, because universities have a long history, starting with Bologna and Sorbonne and Cambridge and Oxford and others. But, that is designed by the architects of the future that would want to create this. And by inviting these young people, we got, tens of amazing answers. And we are really committed. Tomorrow at more or less this hour, we would be discussing with these young people. We'll give an award to the 3 best projects, but without unveiling everything yet, we have discussed with every members of the jury and many partners, and all of them want to help not just the 3 best projects, but the tens of projects we have to grow and be taken 1 or 2 steps further, so that ideally they can be offered to the world, say this September or certainly the next one, so that we can help the students to co-create the planets and university that they want to become this, planetary citizens aware of the planetary boundaries, and where they can learn to build a new commons. They can nurture the natural commons that you have also with the biodiversity sites at UNESCO. They can learn to nurture the intellectual commons and also co-create the digital commons of the future. And so by creating a space for the students that want to be these architects of tomorrow and want to create the university that will complement, as you were rightfully saying, the national universities that have co-evolved under historical, geographical, political and financial constraints, and therefore are not necessarily addressing the planetary challenges of today. And so having a place where students can not just compete for yesterday's knowledge, but can be invited to contribute to today's challenges and co-construct the future is, I really think, something that is really very inspiring for certainly this generation, but probably, as you rightfully said, I think we can build this in an intergenerational way.
I think it's an excellent idea. I think, tomorrow it's a very good way to kick off somehow and share this idea to a larger audience. I would say that if UNESCO would be included and involved, as I hope, in this project, inclusion will be very much at the core of this initiative. So many young people are out of the system. We have to keep in mind that there is in the world still a huge higher education divide, let's say. So higher education in the north of the world, in rich countries, is not for all, but it covers some 74% of the age population. When you move to the south, to see the African sub-Saharan region, we can see that unfortunately it's still a privilege. And an open space to build together the common goods for the future is really very much needed. And it's at the end of the day a very concrete proposal we can work on.
I'll be delighted, and I think we should be as inclusive as possible, as you rightfully said. To give an example, it's only a few percent of those that are in a refugee camp that have access to a higher education. And we're talking about millions of young people. But take Afghan women, they can certainly not rely on their governments for their education. So we have to, find ways to deliver to those that have been historically or presently deprived of their basic rights, which is the right to learn to care for self, others, and the planet. And, one of the rights that you are rightfully pushing at UNESCO, the lifelong learning as a new right. And I think learning to care for self, others, and the planet should definitely be something that is offered to everyone at all ages.
Absolutely. I was thinking while listening to you, François, that, when we talk about global citizenship now, when the 2030 agenda was launched, one of the new inspiring concept for education was and still is a global citizenship education. When we talk about this, we mean that life must really be a learning process for all. And more than ever now, it's a must, it's a duty for society to make this life-wide and lifelong learning process a right for all. And that's, of course, the mission that UNESCO has, not an easy one, but we are very committed to move ahead along these lines.
So it's a pleasure to have you as a partner. I think our time is up. Thank you so much, Stefania.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And happy International Day for Education once again.
You too.
Thank you to you both. Thanks to Stefania, Giannini, and to François Taddei for sharing what they're building and they're working on in building a learning planet for living. Now, our architects for tomorrow and their truly transformative actions come from all walks of life, from all corners of the earth and also all areas of activity, including the world of outdoors and sports. Joining us now in the LP Vision studio, we have Jean-Pierre Haemmerlein, the director of the Decathlon Foundation. Welcome to LP Vision, Jean-Pierre.
Hello. Thank you for your invitation.
It's great to have you with us. It's a real pleasure to have you here in the studio. Now, Decathlon is known the world over. It's democratized sport by making it affordable and accessible. Today, you can even rent equipment rather than having to buy it. But can you tell us what is the Decathlon Foundation and your mission?
The Decathlon Foundation, Christian, is very simple because this foundation is aligned on the purpose of our company, which is move people through the wonders of sports. But our action is more on the people in need and to help all these people in need to integrate society through the practice of sport. And we have today approximately more than 900 projects across the world in 50 countries. And through this 900 projects, we are helping more than 500,000 beneficiaries who are practicing regularly sport. And the term regularly is very important because all our projects are sustainable.
Okay, so you have this global reach of already these projects that are going on. Can you give us some examples of the Foundation's work and the impact that you've had, maybe in some areas?
It's a huge question and very difficult to answer to you, Kristen, because our 900 projects are so amazing. But I could give you perhaps an example from a Moroccan project, and this project in Morocco started in 2007. Okay, and we decided to help 200 young girls who were 11 years old at this period. Why? We decided to help these 200 girls because they came from the rural and campaign part of this region. And in this region, you must know that 70% of this girl give up the college because they have a primary school in their village, but the secondary school is outside the village and they have to walk between 2 until 5 hours per day to go and to go back from the college. And in winter, for example, when the night come earlier, parents prefer that the girls stay at home because for their safety. And some father in this region prefer also that some of their daughters stay at home to help their mother. And it's very easy for them. They have many reasons to give up the college. And we decided to help them through a bicycle because we knew that through this bicycle it was possible for them to go to the bicycle, so to the school. And so we decided to organize a meeting with these 200 girls in Tiznit during one weekend with some of our teammates who are living in this part of this region. And we met each of these girls to give one bicycle and to say to each of them, hello, for example, you are Fatima, your bicycle is number 20, and this bicycle is for you, not for your father, not for your brother, to go to the college. And if you give up the college, we will take back the bicycle to give to another girl.
Okay, so there was a kind of an agreement between...
Yeah. And we did a workshop also to learn to all these girls who were 11 years old how to make bicycle, because they didn't know how to make bicycle during all the weekend. how to repair also the bicycle on the basic workshop. And we decided also to train the brother and the father in the different village to have some more complex workshop for the bicycle. And during 4 years, during all the college, we decided to follow up all these girls. And instead to have 70% of these girls who give up the college, we had only 15%. So we decided to go on and to go further until they're 18 years old.
Okay.
And it was amazing because, we started, as I told you, in 2007, and in 2019, I was in Morocco in a meeting of Decathlon. It was only a professional meeting, only with Decathlonian teammates from our company. I presented the foundation, and during this presentation, after the presentation, we have some questions. We were 100 people, store manager, accountant, etc. And one woman from Decathlon raised her hand to ask a question, and we gave her the micro, and I asked to her, "What is your question?" And she told me, "I have no question." I was very surprised, and she told me, "I have no question. I would like only to tell you that my name is Asma, and you knew me when I was 11 years old. You learned, you trained me how to make bicycle, and I would like to tell you that through this bicycle, I succeed. I was and I am today free. I did secondary school, but also university, and I'm so happy today. Through this bicycle, it was the opportunity for me also now today to choose my husband.
Oh, right.
And I would like to tell you that I am a department manager in our company Decathlon in bicycle field. So it was amazing.
So she went from being a young woman that you gave a bicycle to actually then going through her entire education and now working in those stores. But
12
more
years
than
ago, 12 years after.
Taking, being empowered in her life through this bicycle. That's a fantastic story. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Can you tell us, why are you focusing now on impacting education? And what is it that you're building to achieve this?
It's very important for us because we know today, with our small experience, after 80 years the foundation existed, that the youth are very important for our planet. And we think that when you are helping a young girl, for example, you are helping also the future children of this girl, and you are helping also her family. And through the education, we know that sport can be also very powerful to change many things and to introduce in the education the development of the life skill, of human values also. It's very, very important to change the planet and all the local ecosystem.
Certainly, we also know that children that play sports in schools and that regularly play in teams are more likely to have a regular attendance record at school as well. So whether it is indeed giving them a bicycle and teaching them how to ride and look after their bicycle to enable them to get to school, or enabling them to practice sports at school and therefore attend regular education. So that's fantastic. How can people find out more about the Decathlon Foundation, what you're up to and your projects?
Thank you, Kristen. You are welcome. People who could come on our website, Decathlon Foundation, okay, or on our Instagram also. It's a Decathlon Foundation in English, okay, and our LinkedIn also, Decathlon Foundation. And in the future, we would like also to develop more, not a communication, but it's time now for us to share some of our project to many people across this planet, because it's our responsibility now to dispatch and to communicate about this for all the people who could use our successful project.
Well, Jean-Pierre, it's been fantastic having you with us here today to share with us on the International Day of Education here on LP Vision everything that you're doing for Decathlon Foundation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do keep us posted on what you're doing and everything you're doing to advance education through sport. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Jean-Pierre Haemmerlein.
Thank you very much.
Keep going. Go, talk.
We're continuing the theme of building a learning planet for living with a young man who is fighting to ensure we have a climate and habitat we can survive and thrive in. An architect for tomorrow who is proof that there is no age limit to being active and engaged. Francisco Vera was just 9 when he started his life's work as a climate activist and a defender of the right to a healthy environment, and he has dedicated himself to education for years through the group Guardians for Life. Welcome to LP Vision, Francisco. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. Very glad to be with you today. Thank you for inviting me.
You know, Francisco, it's truly inspiring to hear what you've achieved at such a young age. Can you tell us what Guardians of Life is and what inspired you to create it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Guardians for Life is a movement that I started when I was 9 years old. I started with my colleagues from the school, and right now we are more than 700 children around all Colombia, all over the region, the Latin American and Caribbean region, and Spain also. And we are working especially on environmental, climate, and citizen education, precisely the topic that congregate us, no? So we are working on the inclusion also of children, of the powerful voice that the children have, and also we are making all as possible as we can to take climate action and to make governments to take climate action and take the different measures that are necessary to mitigate the impact of climate change. What inspired me to create it? Basically, it was the situation in the Amazon region, in the Amazon forest. In 2019, it was very difficult because of the deforestation and also the fire there. And in fact, right now, Colombia is living a very difficult situation again with the forest fire. So basically, the injustice, the impacting of that situation was what inspired me to take action. Yeah, there is a phrase of international amnesty that says, take the injustice, the social injustice, but also I add the environmental and social injustice as something personal. Is that I think the what inspired me to take climate action and to create this movement. Thank you.
It is amazing to hear you talk about this, Francisco. You are not only a climate activist, but you are also an author. Your children's book, What is Climate Change?, is a fantastic way to engage young minds. If you were to describe the book's essence in a sentence that captures its essence, what would it be?
Yeah, my book, I think, here, in fact, here it is. I'm gonna to
yeah,
show you.
Please go ahead and bring it.
Here it is. It is translated also to Arabic, into Arabic.
Yeah.
And I think that the main essence of the book is that anyone who have doubts and questions about the question of the climate crisis, of the climate change, and of the environmental situation in our world, can learn about these pages. So I think that that's the main essence, that also the what is writing here also can get influence in the people who read this. That's the objective of the book. That yeah, that's it. I think that the main essence is to make conscience more people around the world to take climate action together.
I completely agree with you. Francisco, you began your activism journey at the age of 9. What challenges have you faced as a young change maker, and what are the most valuable lessons you have learned along the way?
Well, I think that the main challenges that I have had to face is the simply fact of my age, and it is very sad to say that, because the age shouldn't be something that shame us. The age when we start. In fact, I think that is something that should make feel as proud. But what I say that because we live in an autocentric society, so the spaces the spaces to create the policies to face, for example, the climate crisis and many other challenge, as for example the war, the hungry, the poverty, the challenges of the future are basic, let's say that, dominated or controlled by the adults, no? The rulers of the world are only adults, and the children are totally exclusive, no? But increasingly, we are seeing how there are more and more spaces for the children to take the floor and speak out for our rights, for our future, and for the planet. Basically, is simply as understand that we are defending our future. We are defending our rights, the right to have a dignified and sustainable and clean environment. It's a human right, that. So I think that that's the main challenges of the age and of take part of the decision making, and also the main and most valuable lesson that I have learned is that if we want to change the world, it is difficult to do it first of all, but for not saying impossible. But if we do it, the change, the necessary change together, we will get them. That's it. The main. Like, I would like to remark on that. The eco hope, I think, is the key to change our world. The eco anxiety generated by the different emotions that creates the climate crisis on the people make us feel like, I don't know, in Spanish we say like reduce, sad, no?
Yeah.
And it doesn't allow us to act. So the eco hope propose the action, propose to solve the problem of the eco anxiety. We have to take action with eco hope.
I completely agree with you. And this brings me to my next question, Francisco. As an architect for tomorrow, what, in your opinion, needs to change to ensure that young voices like yourself are heard and integrated into the decision-making process? How can we make this happen, in your opinion?
I think that first of all, the first step that we have to do if we want to do something real is to have a willingness. If there is no willingness to include the children and the different population that have been historically excluded, we cannot do anything. Basically, if there is willingness to take climate action, I think that is as simple as just take the climate action. Yeah, just include the children. And how? I think that through more spaces to hear their opinions, to hear their experiences, to hear all what they have to say, they want to say. And also, I think that, in fact, it's not something about the policies, about create the spaces to hear the children. It's also a cultural change, no? Because if you ask to an adult about what children have to say, what the children have to contribute, will not take into account that, no? So it's like start to hearing our children, start to paying more attention to them, and to really taking into account in the decision making their opinions, because finally the decisions that have been taken, the only ones who will be affected by them are the children, no? The adults who are taking the decisions will be not affected by them, by the consequences of those decisions. Are the children who will be affected by them.
It is truly empowering to hear you talk about this, Francisco. And this brings me to my last question. How can people follow you and find out more about your work?
Well, you can find me in my social media as Francisco Activist, or my movement also, Guardians for Life. And finally, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for be struggling for the climate action, for our future together. Thank you, François, by the way, also for leading all that, and to all the young people who is doing it also. Thank you so much. Continue forward.
Thank you so much, Francisco, for joining us at LP Vision and for sharing with us your wisdom at a young age, and for showing us that anyone can be an architect for tomorrow regardless of their age. If you're a young game changer like Francisco, make sure you apply to become a LearningPlanet Youth Fellow and meet people like you and me and Francisco already making a difference to the world around them. You can find out more details and how to apply on the LearningPlanet's platform. The URL is at the bottom of the screen, and this is also where you'll find out everything that's going on as part of the LearningPlanet Festival right now.
Thanks for that great interview with Francisco Ream. We are so proud to have young voices here on LP Vision. As we said earlier, at the LearningPlanet, we believe that education must go beyond the traditional classroom and curriculum so as to enable us to take better care of ourselves, each other, and our planet. We hope that this episode and our guest architects for tomorrow have illustrated some of the transformation actions and projects already taking place around the world, and already also inspired you to think about what you can do to build a learning planet for living.
If you are a teacher, an education specialist, edtech innovator, climate scientist, environmental activist, or a student, and want to engage with others like you, then check out our year-round events and action program on our LearningPlanet platform. We'll put the URL up again on the screen right now.
So a big thanks to all of our architects for tomorrow: Rhoné, Stefania Giannini, François Taddei, Jean-Pierre Haemmerlein, and Francisco Vera for joining us in this episode on building a learning planet for living. Make sure you keep watching, as in our next episode of LP Vision, we'll be meeting the architects for tomorrow that are building a learning planet for learning. That's going to be starting right after this short break. We'll see you back here again in just a minute. Thank you.
At the Learning Planet Festival, we unite and empower thousands of engaged and active youth like you to advance learning on how to protect our planet, take the stage and add your voices to fundamental issues, shape the next generation of youth rights, and interact with thought leaders, educators, social innovators, and game changers creating the future of learning. Because coming together and learning to take care of oneself, others, and the planet is how we power up to shape and own our future. So come on to the Learning Planet Festival and bring your friends.
Welcome to LP Vision, everyone. LP Vision is the Learning Planet Alliance's series dedicated to building a bridge between the worlds of education, business, and society, and seeking out those that are creating positive new ways for us to live, learn, and work. My name is Reem Najjar, the host of LP Vision, and in this episode focused on building a learning planet for learning, we will be speaking to some extraordinary people. People we refer to as architects for tomorrow, who are creating the future of education and shaping the way we learn. We seek them out and bring them to you because at the Learning Planet, we believe that education must go beyond the traditional classroom and curriculum to enable us to learn to take better care of ourselves, each other, and our planet.
Thanks, Reem. Hi there, my name is Kristen Davis, and alongside Reem, I'll be interviewing our architects for tomorrow. And we'll be asking them how they and we can build a learning planet for learning. Throughout this episode, we'll be paying special attention to three areas we believe are critical building blocks for a learning planet: intergenerational societies, lifelong learning, and transformative action. Each of our architects not only brings their knowledge and their experience of taking an idea from vision to reality, but also their future vision of learning and why we should include these building blocks throughout our projects and our initiatives.
In this episode, you'll be hearing from some global education game changers representing governments and international institutions. But at the Learning Planet, we strongly believe that the youth play a critical role in designing and building the future of education. So you'll also be meeting some young actors already impacting how we think and learn.
100%, Reem. Let's start by hearing from someone who started shaping the future of learning when she was just 21 years old, and over the course of her life has built a network of 61 decentralized local organizations that today spans the globe and 6 continents. Wendy Kopp, the CEO and founder of Teach for All, she's in Nigeria right now, and so she can't join us live. But I got to sit down with Wendy just a few days ago and ask her about building a learning planet for learning. Let's hear from our architect for learning, Wendy Kopp. Founder of Teach for All, welcome to LP Vision. Can you tell us, please, what is Teach for All?
Thank you so much. It's so good to be with you. Teach for All is a global network that is brought together by a shared purpose to develop collective leadership to ensure all children fulfill their potential. We're a network of more than 60 independent national organizations in 60 countries that share a common approach for developing that leadership by enlisting promising leaders of all backgrounds, asking them to commit at least 2 years to teach in their country's under-resourced communities, investing in their leadership and cultivating their ongoing leadership as a force for change, working in partnership with many others throughout the systems around kids in their countries towards ensuring that one day all kids do have the chance to fulfill their potential.
Fantastic. And as an architect for tomorrow, how did you actually go from the conceptualizing the idea of Teach for All to then building it and making it a reality?
You know, I came to this idea originally many years ago, 34 years ago, when I was a senior in college at Princeton University, and felt that our generation was just searching for something that we were not finding in terms of a way to address the real inequities in our country. And I had come to believe that really education is the key to transformation. It's the key to freedom. And somehow all of that came together in my head. And I just thought, why aren't we being recruited as aggressively to commit 2 years to teach in low-income communities in my own country, as we were being recruited at the time to commit 2 years to work in banks on Wall Street. And so that was the original idea. And, it was just one of those things that was very quickly far beyond me. I needed to write an undergraduate thesis, and that was the perfect opportunity to really explore this idea. And that turned into a plan for the creation of this. And again, the timing was perfect. And, many things came together to enable us to launch really within a year of my graduation. And that was just the beginning of a tremendous learning curve. I had my head down and was really fully focused on building Teach for America, focused on my own country, on the massive inequities here. I wasn't thinking about the rest of the world until I started meeting people all over the world, maybe 15 years into this journey, who were just determined that something similar needed to happen in their countries. And that is what ultimately led, about a little more than 15 years ago, to the launch of Teach for All as this network of locally led organizations, all sharing that kind of common purpose.
So you went from this idea, really a sort of a flash idea, through to inspiration, the building locally, as you said, or rather nationally in the US, and now internationally. Now it's actually a decentralized network, if I've understood correctly. It's not managed in one place, it's all decentralized. What impact are you seeing through what you've built and what you've achieved through Teach for America and now Teach for All?
Well, I think what we're seeing all over the world is that, each of these organizations, from Teach for India to Teach for Nigeria to Ensina Brazil to, many, many others, are enlisting their countries, some of their most promising graduates from all different academic majors who have so many different career choices, to say, okay, I'm going to put my energy into working towards ensuring that the kids in our country, all of them, have the chances they deserve. And what we've seen is that does generate really measurable, important impact, academic impact and non-academic impact for kids. What we've also seen is that experience is transformational for the teachers themselves. They come to believe all the more in the potential of the students and families they're working with. They come to believe more in their own potential to make a difference. They come to deeply understand the nature of the educational inequities in their country. And in essence, they become, more of the leaders we need. And they end up devoting their lives to this. More than 75% of the folks who come in unsuspectingly committing just 2 years never leave the work. And they're working at every level of education systems, policy. They're working inside the system and also outside the system as social innovators and advocates pushing for change. And what we've seen is that, honestly, with enough leadership, anything can happen, right? And that's what we've seen it takes to change systems. I think there's an idea in the world that, policy change is system change, or that you can do things, with one leader at the top of a government. And we've just seen that in education, that's not true. To change not only policy, but the culture and practice of a system takes many people throughout a system, really around the whole ecosystem around kids, exercising agency and leadership towards shared purpose and collaborating and learning together. And so in communities all over the world, we're seeing that collective leadership emerging.
Wendy, you've told us how everything that you've created, the impact and the transformation, the change that this has brought about for the students, for the teachers, for everyone involved in your organization. I want to ask you about what it's changed for you, the impact for you. What have you learned through this journey? And as an architect for tomorrow, what keeps you motivated? And what advice would you give to others out there that are looking to build systemic change as you've done and to create a learning planet?
I guess most fundamentally, what I've learned, I mean, you know, as a social entrepreneur, and I know there are many in this community, and growing up in America, which is, you know, maybe an individualistic culture in a way, you know, I started out thinking, you know, with a really individual kind of paradigm of leadership. You know, if it was going to happen, I needed to do it. You know, initially I was like building the mailboxes, you know, everything was about like, what am I going to wake up today and figure out how to do to move this forward? I think what I've learned over time is I've just gained such a deep appreciation for the importance of what we call collective leadership. I mean, ultimately, to really get where we're trying to go, it will take many people and a very diverse group of people, you know, especially people who have experienced the inequities we're working to address, working in partnership with allies who have a lot more privilege, people working really throughout the whole ecosystem around kids, who are collaborating and learning together and who have shared purpose. That is, you know, really the fundamental lesson of this work for me is that no one thing will solve this problem. It will take many changes, which means it will take many diverse people working together over time. And what we've seen is that kind of collective leadership doesn't magically materialize, but that it is possible to intentionally develop it. And so that's really what drives me every day. This is not a quick fix. It is a long game. But what I've seen is that over time, if we keep putting one foot in front of the other in pursuit of that mission, essentially, developing collective leadership to ensure all kids fulfill their potential, ultimately, we can create a lot of progress.
And talking about that, the creation and the progress, what is it that the collective leadership yourself and your colleagues at Teach for All are now building? I know that the work never stops. So what are you building next?
You know, a few years ago, we really stepped back as a global community and asked ourselves, you know, what's the big idea? By 25 years from now, what are we all working to accomplish together? And we started by looking at where the world would be in 25 years, and it's very overwhelming. And gosh, you know, we look at today's world and all the threats to, you know, peace and sustainability and justice. And I think all the more so, you know, we just came to realize we need to redefine education altogether. Like, we really need to work for the day when all kids have the kind of education that enables them to lead a better future, you know, to shape a better future. And that means not working towards narrow academic outcomes, which many of our education systems were initially created to do, but rather to work towards developing students' agency, their awareness, their sense of connectedness to people and the planet, their sense of well-being, and their problem-solving and critical thinking skills. So that's what we're working towards today, you know, collectively, to build the leadership necessary to transform the systems around kids so that they can shape a better future for themselves and for all of us.
Wendy, it's absolutely fantastic to have you with us here on LP Vision. Thank you very much for taking the time. It's been fascinating hearing about your journey as an architect for tomorrow and also what you're building for the future. We wish you and all of your colleagues all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for taking the time to let us know about your life's work, and safe travels as you continue your work in Africa. Teach for All and the LearningPlanet Alliance have partnered with the Aga Khan Foundation to create the Teachers for the Planet program, and will be talking about their work recently presented at COP28. You can find out more about Teachers for the Planet during the session at 2 p.m. Central European Time on the 26th of January, and on the LearningPlanet's platform. The URL is at the bottom of the screen. Intergenerational is one of our critical building blocks here at the Learning Planet. So the inclusion of young voices and their work is something we ensure. And it's great that we have so many young voices to bring you in this episode dedicated to learning. Let's meet our first one, Ron Berlinski, who, like me, is a Learning Planet Youth Fellow and who we can say is more than curious about the future of learning. Welcome to LP Vision, Ron.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Ron, you are the Executive Director of Curiosity Learning. Can you tell us what Curiosity Learning is?
Yeah, of course. So Curiosity Learning is a project that I started when I was in high school 3 years ago when I was 17. Essentially what we do at Curiosity Learning is support youth. At first it was myself, but now we support youth in starting and running curiosity clubs within their own school and communities. The Curiosity Club, what is it, I hear you ask? It's a place where learners aged 11 to 15 can come and learn anything they're interested in through projects together with one another, stimulating the curiosity and their intrinsic motivation to learn. Because when someone wants to learn, they'll create amazing things. They'll find any way possible to learn that thing. We go into schools and we find youth aged around 16, 17 to support, to give them resources and the framework to create and run this Curiosity Club. And it's really youth leading youth and peer-to-peer learning. There is some structure to it within the club itself. We have a framework and different building blocks, but it's really owned by the guides. It's for students, by students. And essentially through every Curiosity Club session, we give them guidance, we give them exposure to new things. So it's not only about the things I'm interested in, that's it, but actually showing them, hey, there's something someone else is interested in. This could be interesting to you. And if it sparks their curiosity, gets them curious, then they might delve deeper and create a project about it. Right now, we're a team of 8, 9, including myself, 9 volunteers in the leadership team. And we're also youth, technically, up to age of 23. Running the supporting guides, creating resources, and pushing growth and trying to impact more kids and getting them more curious.
Wow, that is really inspiring and interesting to hear about. Ron, can you tell us what frustrations about the traditional educational system motivated you to initiate this project?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, I started it when I was in high school, so it really did start out of a frustration, out of a frustration with the education system. As a kid, I loved learning. I'd come home and I'd learn magic tricks and photography, which I still do today, DJing. I just loved finding something new and the challenge of not knowing and then learning it and being able to do it and show my friends the next day. I loved it. And I really felt that this passion and this drive for learning decreased as I went through high school, as I went through the education system. And it was really unfortunate for me. It frustrated me a lot. From a personal level, it frustrated me. It didn't make sense to me that if we're trying to make lifelong learners, which is necessary for tomorrow's world, it's necessary to have people who keep learning throughout because the world is changing so quickly. Yet we're not making learning fun. We're not making learning enjoyable and making the kids actually want to learn. So that's the first thing that frustrated me, this lack of focus, this focus that isn't on the learning and more about how can you make better teaching, but not about how to make better learning. And the second thing that frustrated me is that I didn't see any change. I didn't see anything changing in my school around me. That's a big reason why it started. Afterwards, after joining Network, like the Youth Fellows, I see that there are things happening, but just for me, it was too slow. And that's a big reason why it started in the first place.
As a student myself, I couldn't agree more with what you said about our educational system really depriving us from our curiosity as we get higher and higher throughout our classes. Ron, as an architect for tomorrow, how can we harness students' curiosity in order to use it as a learning catalyst?
Yeah. I'll start by saying that I think curiosity is so powerful. It's a big reason why I'm so focused on it. But it's so powerful. Like I said, when people want to learn, not only kids, anyone, if you want to learn and create, then the things you create are so much more genuine and so much more powerful. So if we take curiosity and make that the focus, make the drive for learning and the desire to learn and to grow the focus in education, then we can completely change the way we see things. We can completely change what it's for. To that, there's many different ways. We define curiosity as the intrinsic motivation to learn. There's a theory on intrinsic motivation called the self-determination theory. It says you need three things to be intrinsically motivated: autonomy, relatedness, and competence. So autonomy, the feeling that you're in control and you have choice in what you're doing. Relatedness, the feeling that you're doing things together with other people. And competence, you're actually good at what you're doing. So how we can actually harness students' curiosities is by, I would say, focusing on this. Anytime designing a lesson, designing an activity, think, okay, how can we give them choice, the feeling of togetherness, and the feeling that they're actually good at what they're doing? And that's the key of the how. And then it can be done in many different ways. Like for us, the Curiosity Club, the system is all around that, to create anything you're interested in together through projects you're proud of, autonomy, relatedness, and competence. But if you're looking at other things, just like a lesson plan, the way in which that the seats are arranged, is it going to be the one person talking and the rest listening? Is going to be in a circle, or do you let them choose their groups? Does the teacher choose the group? Like, just by shifting the thought, okay, how can we give them this autonomy, relatedness, and competence through every lesson, we can harness their curiosity and make them actually more motivated to be there and to learn and create. And yeah, so just always keeping that in the front of mind is definitely beneficial to harness curiosity.
Well, speaking about curiosity, I'm curious now to know what are you most curious about and would like to explore further?
Yeah, well, of course, the default answer is I'm curious about curiosity. No, I'm curious about how people learn. Like I'm always learning in terms of also as this grows, as this project grows. This December, January, it was, I'm not going to say a low point, but some schools stopped working with us. And we took that, like, okay, why? What is this? Why is this happening? Just always thinking about how can we grow? How can we impact more people? That's something I'm really curious about, just growing, iterating. I'll note also something that personally I'm also now really interested in is app development. I'm really curious about. I'm now looking into databases and UI and stuff. Because there might be an app coming up for Curiosity Club soon. Little teaser. So that's in the works. And yeah, and how people learn and how people stay curious throughout their life.
Wonderful, Ron. I'm sure our viewers would like to know how they can find you and your initiative. So can you share a little bit more about how they can find you?
Yeah, of course. So you can look up, if you look up Curiosity Learning on Google, we should pop up there, ideally. We have a website. There's also an Instagram page that's now being more active recently with the growth of the team. Yeah, Curiosity Learning, also on LinkedIn. We're all on all the social platforms. If you look up Curiosity Learning, you'll see it. We'd love to see you there. And if anyone's interested, specifically with youth, in starting a Curiosity Club, we have the resources and the support system to support with that. Or if you know someone who shares this frustration and wants to see this change in their school or in the system, we really tried to focus on, okay, making it more local, not local, but like more that the student changes in their school. It's not something we're trying to change the world, but really for them to see the difference. And if we do it one school at a time, eventually everyone will feel the difference. So if you know someone who shares this and would like to start the initiative, we have the support and the tools and the resources to do so.
Well, thank you so much, Ron, for joining us. And to our viewers, stay curious, keep asking questions, and enjoy the journey of discovery.
Thank you so much. Stay curious.
Our next guest has been shaping education for a significant part of his career, both in his home country of Finland, where he was the Minister of Education, and now globally as the Director General of the International Baccalaureate Organization. Kristen got to sit down with Olli-Pekka Heinonen and ask him how he believes we can build a learning planet for learning.
Olli-Pekka, Heinonen, and welcome to LP Vision. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us. Education development has been at the very heart of your career. You've been the Director General for Finland's National Agency for Education and are now the Director General of the International Baccalaureate Organization. Based on your experience, why has learning and education not evolved at the same rate as other aspects of our society or the way we work?
I don't think we can blame the lack of well-written educational strategies for that. There are plenty of them. The challenge is that we are in short of the capabilities to implement those strategies in the reality of everyday work in classrooms in schools. We have not taken it seriously enough that education systems are truly open living systems. And that requires us to make sure that the interaction between the different actors in that system are as smooth as possible on different layers of the system. And that requires that there is somebody in the system who takes the role of a system convener, who feeds the trust in the system, brings the different actors together, creates a process for collaboration and understanding the roles of each one in the system, and also finding a shared final aim that everybody is committed to. I think that would enable us to do a much better work in making sure that education keeps up with the changes in our society.
Thank you, Olli-Pekka. Now, since 2018, you've been working with and researching countries that are known for their very high standards of education, countries like Finland, Canada, Estonia, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Through this work, you've established that the purpose of education should be to support and enable human flourishing, enabling us to take better care of ourselves, each other, and our planet. Having done this research, how are you now implementing these learnings, and how are you going about building and delivering education for human flourishing?
With those countries and the OECD, we saw that we don't want to stop there, but we want to have a look and try to understand that what would it mean in practice if the final aim of education would be human flourishing. And that means that we have started a process now together with the countries you mentioned and some additional countries like the UK, Austria, Australia, and Germany, to try to focus and understand that what would be a curriculum that aims to human flourishing, or an assessment system, or a teacher training and professional development, or the identity of teachers, or what the system would need to look like. And that's what we are doing right now, and experimenting also new solutions. One of those experiments that the International Baccalaureate we are doing with the United World College Atlantic is a good example of what we are doing. The UWC Atlantic has started a pioneering program for the diploma program to create a new element of a transdisciplinary action-based course that concentrates on 4 topics. They are food, migration, energy, and biodiversity. And that course is based on understanding change leadership, how change happens and how you can influence change. to concentrate on future studies, to understand what are the tools of future studies that can be utilized to make a better world. And also, third, to understand the systemic nature of making transformational changes. And that is kind of the ways that we try to find out what is needed if that kind of elements are brought into the education system. One of the key findings that we have already had is that that kind of an action-based transdisciplinary approach requires quite a lot from teacher training. Because we have, for such a long time, especially on the secondary level, 16 plus years, we have concentrated on the subjects and measuring the knowledge that is connected to the subjects. And making that shift towards more transdisciplinary and also more kind of competence-based approach. It sounds easy, but it's really challenging, and it requires a lot from the teacher capabilities and the teacher identity. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, we are looking for exactly that kind of things to understand that how can we make the change happen to better meet the needs of future generations.
Olli-Pekka, thank you so much. We've talked about this need for a shift in the purpose of education to focus on human flourishing. And you've just described some of the things that you're doing with the International Baccalaureate organization and others to start to realize this change. As an architect for tomorrow, what else do you believe needs to change to ensure that we're refocusing education on human flourishing and doing so correctly?
Well, I would say that one of the main topics that needs to be rethought is our assessment systems, because they have such a strong impact in everything that happens in our schools. And if we don't rethink the way assessments are run today, it's very difficult to make those changes in reality in the curriculum that would embed well in the practices of schooling and teaching and learning. And of course, when looking at that, we have to think again that what is the kind of final aim of education? It is not the learning of certain knowledges, but actually the final aim is human flourishing, but put it in other words, it is how to grow to be a human in these times. That's the final aims. The skills and competencies that are important in the future should serve that final aim. So also assessment systems should be connected to that final aim. And that is quite a change comparing how the assessments, high-stake assessments in today's world are run.
Olli-Pekka, Heinonen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us here today. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your insights. It's been great having you on LP Vision. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Certainly fantastic to be able to hear from Olli-Pekka about his perspectives and also to have him tell us some of the things the International Baccalaureate organization is building for a learning planet. You can hear more about this and other ongoing actions in a special series dedicated to fostering human flourishing in learning ecosystems. That's at 3 p.m. Central European Time on Friday, the 26th of January. More information about this event and others that are taking place throughout the year are available on the Learning Planet's platform. We'll put the URL at the bottom of the screen for you now. Now, as Reem said just earlier, at the Learning Planet, we believe intergenerational societies and the inclusion of youth actors and their voices is critical. And so we're now turning our LP Vision spotlight to a young lady who, as a learning influencer on TikTok, has global reach and is teaching thousands of people about the importance of media literacy and understanding the news. It's a pleasure to welcome Kelsey Russell, who's a student at Teachers College, Columbia University, where she's pursuing a master's in sociology and education. That is, when Kelsey is not being a media hottie on TikTok. Welcome to LP Vision, Kelsey.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Kelsey, it's fantastic to have you here. Now, I want to ask you, how did you come to be so passionate about media literacy? Passionate to the point where you're an advocate for it on TikTok, where you have thousands of followers and more than 5.2 million likes on your posts.
So I think I have always loved education. I come from a family of educators and entrepreneurs. And I was pretty much in the summer after my first year of my master's program, looking back, thinking, what did I actually learn? And I just wanted to know more about what was going on in the world. So I reverted back to something that was familiar to me when I was younger, which was reading the newspaper. I asked for it for my birthday, my 23rd birthday, for the physical copy of the New York Times. I decided to share what I was learning on TikTok, and it blew up. And I've always been a big fan and a big promoter of curiosity, of critical thinking. So I decided, let me just take my audience on a journey of me learning and continuously asking why.
So fantastic. You started this journey, but I want to ask you, why did you choose a print newspaper, which in fact many of us would say is an incredibly outdated format of information, and then mix that with TikTok, which is a somewhat controversial social media platform? Why did you choose these two tools to teach media literacy?
That is a great question. So similar to this festival, I believe in intergenerational learning, right? And I think the beautiful thing about a physical newspaper is regardless of pretty much what age you are on this earth, you have some core memory of somebody reading a newspaper, somebody flipping through. You might see them every once in a while you pass by, or you still might be an avid reader. And TikTok is a platform that we know primarily Gen Z is using. So I thought it would be great to merge this version of physical print that might be more comfortable for older generations onto a platform that is very comfortable for younger generations. And also, I found that my mental health improved significantly when I would read physical print, because it's not okay to read a devastating news story on the same scroll as an Instagram, and then your friend is on a trip and your mom is texting you. It's simply too much for your brain to take in. So by reading physical print, you give yourself a moment in time where you decide, this is what I want to learn. I'm ready to engage with the news, and you can put it down when you're ready.
Certainly, and I think there's something also when we see these images, an image in print is sometimes easier for us to bring in than a very maybe traumatic or difficult image that we may see scrolling, as you say, just between other friends' videos. One of the things I think that's quite interesting about this is that, you know, sort of TikTok can also be maybe demonized, but it can actually be quite a powerful tool, just as you said, especially when it comes to intergenerational.
Absolutely, absolutely, right? I mean, social media is a problem. It's not good for us to be on the internet. I think we all know that it is a little more detrimental to our mental health. However, I'm a youth advocate, and I believe that a lot of the answers of what we want the future of education to look like, the future of our world, lies in the hands of young people, and a lot of them are on TikTok. So yes, it is a problem, but it's also a beautiful hub for solutions. You have young people that are getting on that app, yes, to do a little dancing, yes, to make a little vlog, but are also having really robust conversations about what is going on in the world. And a lot of them are telling another generation, this is what we want to see in education. This is what we want the future to be. And I think many people who might fear TikTok are missing out on an amazing opportunity to interact with young people and meet their desires.
Certainly, it is a place where we can see, hear, listen and learn about what youth need, want today. Talking about today, 2024 is one of the biggest election years. We have up to 46% of the planet's population is going to have the opportunity to vote in the next couple of months. And media literacy has a critical role to play in healthy democracy and empowering citizens and in civic actions. Are you hopeful for the future of these skills, for media literacy skills in schools and in society?
I am so hopeful. I actually have a classmate who is a teacher, and she gave me this beautiful quote that our job is to overestimate youth. So I think that if I ever got on a platform and said that I was negative about what the future would look like for education, it wouldn't even sit right in my soul. I actually have a huge hope for the future of media literacy. I think maybe a fallacy that we fall into is expecting teachers to be the ones to teach absolutely everything in the world, when a teacher is a human being who is occupying a role and a job. It's up to outside organizations, it's up to families, it's up to friends to bring the discourse that students are having in school to life. Many things like this festival, many civic organizations. So I think that the future of media literacy is very strong, but it has to rest just not in the hands of teachers, but everybody who has a passion for education. So I have to say, I'm very hopeful for the youth in the future.
Indeed, it is all about the ecosystem, as you say, not just the teachers, but the families and also the media themselves. And in fact, a quick mention to a couple of the amazing projects that are out there for media literacy around the world. We have the Street Project in the UK, the Global Youth and News Media Prize, and there are many other groups and initiatives, pop-up newsrooms, great things happening around the globe. Now, you have already built up a huge global impact through the TikTok channel that you've built. Kelsey, what is it that you're working on now, and what are you building to take your media literacy message to the next level?
Sure. So as I said at the beginning, I do come from a family of entrepreneurs. So of course, my parents are like, are you going to build a business from this? I'm like, of course. So I do hope one day to own my own media conglomerate that follows my passion of education should be entertaining and entertainment should be educational. I also do have a podcast that's in the works and on pause. I'm a believer if something doesn't feel right, you need to workshop it. So I'm hoping that that will come out or somehow come out in more of a live format. And I also like to tell my audience this will be my year of public speaking. And I'm so grateful that you all gave me this opportunity. You'll see me more at many panels and becoming hopefully the face of a promise of media literacy in an enlightened future for youth. So that is what people can expect from me. And of course, just being silly too every once in a while.
Fantastic. Well, you've already teased to us about your podcast, and we'll be keeping an eye on you as a media literacy ambassador, a global media literacy ambassador. Kelsey, how can people find you, find out what you're up to? Where can they connect with you?
Sure. People can connect with me on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. All of my handles are the same, KELSCRUSS. It's supposed to be Kelsey Russ, but most people call it Kels Cress. So those are the platforms that I'm on the most, and that is where people can contact me.
Kelsey, it's been absolutely fantastic having you with us here on LP Vision. Thank you so much for joining us and for being a true architect for tomorrow for learning. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Take care.
Now we're switching from one digital platform to another and thinking about the critical role platforms play to connect us to essential services, including digital literacy, education courses, new skills training, and keeping us up to date as our work and society change. Now, most of us got a taste of this during the pandemic. Since then, we've returned to what could be described as normal life. But around the world, there are millions of people that are displaced, forced to leave their homes and their lives to seek safety, or even forced to shelter and stay in place as it's just too dangerous to venture out to school and into the streets. Even before Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, the Ukrainian government had plans to create a state-of-the-art platform that would digitize many of its services and enable citizens connect and use its tools from anywhere in the world. Today, 6.2 million Ukrainian citizens are refugees. They're scattered around the globe, and it's the government's DIA platform that is now an essential part of their daily lives, including for many, for them to be able to access schooling as well as to access reskilling and upskilling courses. Let's now learn how Ukraine is building a learning planet for learning using their DIA platform from Valeriya Ionan, the Deputy Minister for Euro Integration at the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine.
Greetings from Ukraine. I'm very pleased to welcome everyone to UNESCO's International Day of Education. Since 2019, we at the Ministry of Digital Transformation have been building the most convenient digital state in the world. Ukraine has become the first country in the world where digital passports are totally equivalent to paper or plastic ones. Our citizens have one of the fastest business registrations online in less than 10 minutes. Ukraine also has been called a European digital transformation tiger. To achieve these results quickly and efficiently, we have created DIA, an ecosystem of digital products with our core product, State Super App DIA, a game changer of public services with almost 20 million users, 14 digital documents, 30 services and a digital signature available in the app. We also have a state portal of public services DIA with more than 100 services for citizens and businesses. On the 24th of February 2022, with the full-scale Russian invasion, the lives of Ukrainians changed, but the digital state has resisted and continues to develop. With DIA app, we have been able to react fast and launch new services in just 3 days up to a few weeks. IDP status, social and financial assistance through DIA, e-recovery, which is an online compensation for destroyed or damaged property because of the full-scale Russian invasion to Ukraine, chatbot, e-enemy to inform Ukrainian armed forces about Russian troops or equipment, war bonds, and many other services. DIA became an ecosystem that services people, making their lives comfortable in a few clicks. One of the projects of the ecosystem is DIA Business, national project for SMEs that has an online one-stop shop portal with free consultations, a marketplace of financial products, access to international trade exhibitions, analytics of global markets, search for business partners, and many, many other products. You name anything you need to start or grow your business in Ukraine, and you will find it on the platform. And also a network of offline DIA business hubs, support centers for entrepreneurs, which are located in 11 cities in Ukraine and 1 in Warsaw. 2 weeks before the full-scale Russian invasion to Ukraine, we also have launched DIA City, which is the best tax regime for IT in Europe. For now, more than 700 Ukrainian and international companies have become residents of DIA City. In 2023, we also launched DIA Engine, which is a low-code open-source solution for the development of digital public services. Today, 20 ministries and state agencies in Ukraine have adopted DIA Engine. And of course, DIA Education, national edutainment platform for reskilling and digital literacy, which was relaunched in May last year. For now, DIA Education reaches 2 million users with a 75% success rate. We implemented reskilling and upskilling philosophy in an edutainment format with micro-learning modules and stop lessons. Today, every Ukrainian can improve not only the level of digital literacy, but also obtain relevant knowledge and skills free of charge through more than 170 educational series, 50 interactive simulators, guides, webinars, and podcasts. DIA Education has a unique user flow of learning that allows users from scholars to people of elegant age to learn specific skills by receiving recommended episodes of different series to create their personal learning trajectory. It also implemented a career guidance test and a job search section with a catalog of vacancies from Ukrainian top job search platforms where people can match their skills with the job opportunity they fit. This step was crucial to the ministry's team because it can partially solve the problem of internally displaced people unemployment due to the full-scale Russian invasion and empower Ukrainians with new skills. We also have implemented DigiGrams on the platform, which are national tests to check the level of digital literacy for citizens, teachers, civil servants, medical workers, and others. And we also have adapted the European framework for digital competence DigiComp 2.1 and DigiComp 2.2. It is very important to say that all the content is also available in Ukrainian and in English. The essential part of the education is also a network of over 5,000 digital hubs. However, it is also about the constant experiments with new methodologies and approaches when it comes to transforming the education. We aim to engage citizens in the educational process as much as possible because obtaining new digital skills, reskilling for another profession or upgrading existing knowledge is an ongoing process in a turbulent world. Thus, last year, we also have launched a range of other educational projects. One of them is the updated Computer Science for Scholars, which is now called IT Studios. Starting in autumn 2023, more than 1,400 Ukrainian schools have already used IT Studios educational materials. More than 300 lessons and 500 interactive exercises have been created to encourage students to practice and develop their skills. Also in November, we have presented Future Perfect, a national language program to promote the English language in Ukraine, making it easy and accessible to every Ukrainian. Children, public sector, teachers, and others. Ukrainians should speak the same language with the world. Thus, for now, 2 free tools are already available. The first one is Promova, which is a platform and an app for learning languages with a personalized approach. By the way, during the first month, 73,000 of Ukrainians registered through the signature. Another one is Empower, which is the initiative from Cambridge, which is available to all Ukrainian universities. And we have already received more than 300 applications from universities. And of course, CDTO Campus, GovTech Education for Aspiring Digital Leaders. CDTO Campus will train leaders of the new generation who will become the driving force of digital transformation locally, regionally, and nationally. This is the digital education that helps leaders think creatively and effectively. The program includes different long-term and short-term programs in partnership with leading international companies. CDTO Campus also becomes the first university in a smartphone in Ukraine. I can talk a lot about the ministry's projects on education and digital literacy, but the key is that Ukraine is not just a country at war. Ukraine is a country with great digital and innovative potential. Every 2 years, we at the ministry have initiated the research on digital skills among Ukrainians. This year, results show that almost 60% of people in Ukraine already have basic and above digital skills. Their share has increased by 12.6% in the last 4 years. In 2019, for example, the number of such people was only 47%. It means that even during wartime, Ukraine is developing and Ukrainians are improving themselves constantly. And we won't stop. Human capital development is one of the priorities of our work at the Ministry of Digital Transformation. Thus, this year, we will officially present Mriya, which is translated from Ukrainian as a dream, the new innovative educational GovTech app with help for self-realization, which will provide convenient access to knowledge and enable individual educational trajectories. A successful Ukraine will have 2 main technological products, Dia and Mriya. Ukraine is already bringing and will continue to bring much more value to the world. We are open to partnership and ready to share our experience and products. I wish you all a very fruitful day and productive conference. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!
What is the future of Ukraine like? Is it a hope for a happy tomorrow, for breakthroughs and battle-throughs? This is not a hope, this is a will. The will to do more than we thought we could. The will to create technologies that make enemies shout, "My Lord." The will to improve lives, provide jobs. To be the rare for those who fight against all odds. A partner to developers, scientists, entrepreneurs. To those who choose their own reward. Ours is to be the state of free people. So instead of hoping, we act. Because we cannot afford to lose. Win-win. Ukrainian Global Innovation Vision. Winning the peace.
Thanks so much to Valeriya Ionan for her message and for showing us how Ukraine is building a learning planet for learning via their Dia digital platform. From Ukraine, we're now heading to the west coast of America to talk to Charlie Haywood, a Learning Planet Youth Fellow and founder and CEO of Dreamcatchers Education. Seeing a path between your dream job and the different courses and options available at universities can be overwhelming and leave many anxious about what to choose. This is why Charlie created Dreamcatchers Education, a YouTube channel to help students and young people identify their dreams and then inspire and enable them to apply and get into top universities. Welcome to LP Vision, Charlie.
Thank you, Reem.
We're so happy to have you here. Charlie, by establishing Dreamcatchers Education, you are able to offer free online education to students across various disciplines. How did you transform your idea into reality, and what does it look like today?
All right, so I can start with explaining a little bit behind my idea for Dreamcatchers and why I was so inspired to do it. And it really came from my own experiences, where I found two main things. The first is that there is a huge need for educational resources in many communities, be it my own community and the broader international community. And second is that students are often unsure of what they're truly interested in or what major industry or career they really want to get into. And I think naturally, as you're applying to college at 18 years old, it's impossible to know what you truly want to do. So that's why I really was inspired and wanted to start Dreamcatchers. And in terms of the strategies that I personally employed to make Dreamcatchers a reality is that I first started out by leveraging personal connections to interview successful individuals, and that's where I made my YouTube videos. So I thought that it was a perfect opportunity to leverage the personal connections that I had to see what each individual industry is really like. So I interviewed people in the STEM and engineering field to the medical field. And it's great to talk to them and see what it was that they're doing, as well as what advice they had for students who are really interested in getting into that field. And moving to the US, I found a lot of opportunities to expand Dreamcatchers. I took up fundraising opportunities as well as school courses that I taught with Dreamcatchers, and I invited others to teach them as well. And today we've reached the audience of over 6,000 students and we have a international outreach with Dreamcatchers Education. So that's kind of where we're at today.
It's truly inspiring to hear how you leveraged your resources and your connections to bring Dreamcatchers to life. But I'm sure you faced obstacles on your journey. Can you tell us what was your greatest one and how did you overcome it?
Absolutely. So kind of with what I explained just now, one of the ways that we've grown is through fundraising. And I would have to say that one of my greatest obstacles has been one of my fundraising opportunities. And last year I did a fundraiser with a local philanthropist here, Tom Roach, and the Salvation Army for education for Ukrainian refugee students. So as a result of the war, unfortunately, a lot of students were not able to get not just a quality education, but really any education at all.
Yeah.
And this was, personally, really tragic event. And as I'm so passionate about education, I couldn't sit by and do nothing. So when I saw this opportunity to help, I had to act. And now we did this. The fundraiser itself was a success. We were able to raise over 19,000 and help over 250 students get back into school. But unfortunately, I think my biggest failure was that I wasn't able to really convince everyone in the community and convey how important of an issue this was and how passionately I and many others felt about it. Now, naturally, there's always no right and wrong answer to, questions like these, because a lot of my own community locally is in need and needs educational resources and all the help they can get. But this was something with the Ukrainian students that hit really close to home for me personally and was something that I was really moved by. And I don't think I was able to convey that as much as I had wanted. So I would definitely say that I wanted to really show that community is more than just who our local community was, or it extends past our city, our state, or even our country. We have a huge community all across the world, and I think we should help in any way we can. So that's kind of where my biggest goal I faced was.
What a wonderful thing to hear regarding your perspective. As an architect for tomorrow, what are you planning on building next?
Okay, so for my next steps, I would say I kind of have two areas. First, in education is with Learning Planet and Planetism University. I'm so happy to be working with LP and with everyone in Planetism University. It's been a great experience for me personally. I think I've learned a lot, especially at the General Assembly, the UN General Assembly in September, as well as connecting with so many youth fellows around the world. And that's what I'm working on in the education side of things. I see it as the next step for Dreamcatchers, and taking what I've learned and what I've done for Dreamcatchers and taking it to the next level with Planetism University. So that's one of my passions. And my second passion is for sustainable aviation. And in terms of what I'm planning on building next is I'm going to go to Stanford's class of 2028 for both aerospace engineering and computer science. And really my interest is in tackling what I think is another one of the greatest challenges we're facing today besides education, which is climate change. And a little bit behind why I'm so passionate about it is that when I went to Alaska and I went to hike the glaciers, I saw firsthand how far back it had receded. And, you know, we always hear climate change, global warming, this is such a big deal, which it really is, but it never had hit me as hard as when I went and saw it myself firsthand. And at the same time, I also discovered that, you know, I'm a pilot, right? And aviation is the leading contributor towards personal emissions. And that was groundbreaking because two of my biggest passions, you know, were directly opposed to each other. So that was a big moment for me and really inspired me to pursue the intersection between sustainability and aviation. So that's my next step on what I want to get into.
Well, good luck on your future endeavors. The name Dreamcatchers Education is intriguing. How does this name embody the vision and mission of your educational initiative?
Okay, so when I founded Dreamcatchers Education in 2019, one of my original goals really was to help students find what their dreams are and empower them to really catch their dreams. So that's why my organization is called Dreamcatchers. And really, as a result of this desire, that's why I've set up Dreamcatchers and have been working towards inspiring students, because kind of like I mentioned at the start, I think it's really hard and really difficult for students to know what it is that they want to do in the future at a young age and be so certain in their paths. And that's why I wanted to provide resources to kind of inspire them for what they're interested in. And I try to do that through my interview videos with industry professionals for students to get a sense of what industries are really like and what it is they'd be actually doing as a doctor, as an engineer, etc. But also as a secondary sort of benefit of Dreamcatchers, what I wanted was for students to start out by learning and figuring out what their passions were, and then actually being able to and catch them and really achieve and actualize their dreams. So that's why after moving to the US and taking up different opportunities that were available to me here to help the community, I really wanted to empower students to actually find their dreams and make them into a reality. Why the name Dreamcatchers?
Thank you so much for joining us, Charlie. And good luck in everything that you're going to do in the future. I believe that a person with your mentality will go a long, long way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reem.
We hope that LP Vision is helping you see that anyone can be an architect for tomorrow, from governments to individuals, and that technology can be an awesome tool to teach millions around the world, but that you don't need millions of euros or dollars to make a difference or build a learning planet for learning. A good idea and the desire to do good are enough to get started.
Exactly, Rim. Something else that can be helpful in taking an idea from concept to reality is a strong community and good support. And this is where the Learning Planet Alliance's global network of more than 400 organizations and thousands of individuals comes in, uniting, sharing, and collaborating to deliver truly transformative actions, as we've seen from some of our guests and we've been hearing over the past hour.
If you want to join the Learning Planet Alliance and meet other architects for tomorrow, Visit our platform dedicated to transforming education. The URL is now showing on the screen. You'll find information on action groups and events taking place all year round. And if you're a young game changer, make sure you apply to become a Learning Planet Youth Fellow and meet people like you and me and all the youth that we heard today that are making a difference to the world around them.
So, to wrap up this LP Vision episode, we want to thank Wendy Kopp, Ron Berlinski, Olli-Pekka Heinonen, Kelsey Russell, Valeriya Ionan, and Charlie Haywood, and all of the architects for tomorrow everywhere that are building a learning planet for learning.
Make sure you stay tuned and catch our next episode of LP Vision, where we'll be meeting the architects for tomorrow who are building a learning planet for working and equipping future generations with the essential skills they'll need. That's starting in just a few seconds here on LP Vision. Thank you and see you soon.
At the Learning Planet Festival, we unite and empower thousands of engaged and active youth like you to advance learning on how to protect our planet, take the stage and add your voices to fundamental issues, shape the next generation of youth rights, and interact with thought leaders, educators, social innovators, and game changers creating the future of learning. Because coming together and learning to take care of oneself, others, and the planet is how we power up to shape and own our future. So come on to the Learning Planet Festival and bring your friends.
Welcome to LP Vision, the Learning Planet Alliance's series dedicated to building a bridge between the worlds of education, business, society, and seeking out those that are creating positive new ways for us to live, learn, and work. My name is Kristen Davis, and along with Reem Najjar, we're the hosts of LP Vision, and it's our pleasure to bring you this episode focused on building a learning planet for working. At LP Vision, we seek out the individuals and organizations that have taken great ideas from concept to reality, the visionaries and builders we refer to as architects for tomorrow. And in this episode, we'll be meeting some of these extraordinary people that are shaping our future by helping us define what meaningful work is and what are the skills and competencies we need to be able to do this.
At LP Vision and at the Learning Planet, we believe that education must go beyond the traditional classroom and curriculum, and that lifelong learning is key to be able to have meaningful work throughout our lives and careers. We also believe that the youth play a critical role in designing and building the future, and so you'll also be meeting some young actors already impacting how we think about our life's purpose through the prism of work. Today, whether you're just starting out in your first job or about to apply for your next position, you want to know that your time, effort, energy, and expertise will have a positive impact on yourself, others, and the planet.
Exactly, and in this episode, we're bringing you a global artificial intelligence expert, someone who is already shaping the skill sets we need to harness this technology for good. And we're bringing you a lifelong activist who'll share his thoughts on how individuals can work together on complex and critical global issues. But when many of us think about work, we think of large corporate organizations, and that's where we're starting this episode of LP Vision. Let me welcome our first architect for tomorrow to the studio. It's great to have you with us, Emilie Carpels.
Thank you. Hello, Kristen, and hello, everyone tuning in. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be part of the Learning Planet Festival.
It's great to have you here. Now, Emilie, you are the director of the IKEA River project. It's based here in Paris, France, and it's fantastic to have you with us talking about how you and IKEA are building a learning planet for working. Now, IKEA's mission is to create a better everyday life for the many people. But what is the IKEA River Project and how does it serve this mission?
Yes, you're right. IKEA is a Swedish brand that has developed itself around a strong vision to create a better everyday life for the many. And this strategy has been broken down into three main routes. First of all, affordability. We want to have a wide range of functional and well-designed products at price so low that as much people as possible could afford them. The second road is accessibility. We want to make IKEA accessible at the many. And for that, we have developed a new store format, for instance, in our city, new IT technologies such as immersive room. We have invested on online store. And the third road is sustainability. And we want to support the IKEA growth while limiting our carbon footprint. Mm-hmm. And for that, we have activated several levers, for instance, circularity, energy, unit decarbonation, and of course, mobility. And we have strong ambition regarding mobility because we want to have 100% of our final customer delivered in zero emission by 2025. So this is a huge ambition, but meanwhile, we have a huge increase in online sales. We used to have 9% of our online share in pre-COVID period, and this has been drastically increased in the last fiscal year because we have achieved 25% of IKEA share.
That's a rapid increase in
absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. So this has been also supported by a strong demand on services and especially home deliveries. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that you think more home deliveries means more trucks on roads.
Usually it means more trucks on roads, yeah.
So all that leads IKEA to rethink its mobility model and find new solutions. And one of innovative solutions is a switch to river transport. Thus, since December 2022, IKEA has been delivering its Parisian customers thanks to a multimodal and innovative solution that combine river transport and last mile zero emission. This is daily operation. This operates from our Gennevilliers warehouse and Paris inner city, Bercy. Gennevilliers, it's 15 kilometers far from Paris.
Okay.
And our orders are prepared in the warehouse. They are loaded into swap bodies, and swap bodies are small containers that has been designed for this specific logistic. And after that, this is these swap bodies that will travel. So first of all, to Gennevilliers port, where they are loaded into the boat. The boat navigates overnight, and early in the morning, the swap bodies are unloaded to be put in electrical vehicle for last mile.
So if we're ordering, say, a children's desk to do their homework or a chair, that's actually going by boat overnight to Paris.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So this is innovation for IKEA, and this is also innovation for France because we are the first retailer to use the river for a final customer.
Okay, and so what then actually happens once the boat arrives into Bercy, the final mile, that's also you're planning to get it to be carbon free?
Yes, absolutely. It's made by the electrical vehicle that has been specifically designed as well to welcome these swap bodies. Absolutely.
Okay, I really didn't realize that if we were ordering things that they were taking this voyage, this river voyage. That's highly innovative.
Yes, your orders are cruising now.
Okay, they're cruising, yeah. But how did you have to learn to work differently in order to do this, in order to achieve this project? And what challenges and new skills did you have to face and acquire?
Yes, right. This is innovation, and we have two main ambitions. The first one is the satisfaction of our customer, because we are a retailer and we are driven by the satisfaction of our customer. And thanks to the river, we are able to secure the lead time, the delivery time. Okay. Because we know that early in the morning, all the orders are in our city ready to be delivered to their recipients. So we can improve the customer experience by avoiding congestion in Paris entrance. And the second ambition is to reduce our carbon footprint, as mentioned earlier. And thanks to the river, we have the possibility to deliver in zero emission for last mile. And we have avoided around 8,000 trucks on roads in Paris entrance. So less trucks on roads means less congestion, and less congestion means less pollution. But you're right, this is innovation, and we were very humble about the fact that we will encounter challenges. And the main one was to redesign a new flow. We used to have a very simple flow with trucks from our warehouse direct to customer. And we have implemented lots of operation, lots of break loads that has transformed this flow in a rigid one. Okay. So all the challenge relies on making this new flow as flexible as the original one. And for that, we have to rethink each operation in a millimeter manner in order to deliver our final customer by 48 hours after placing order. So it is a very precise timeline. We know that we have to cross the Watergate at a precise time, so it means that we have to prepare the swap bodies at the right time, and we have to prepare the order at the right time as well.
So you had to create this incredibly new complex chain, and I imagine work with different stakeholders as a result of using the river as well then.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. We were very humble also about the fact that we have not the knowledge in that field. So we have been supported by logistic partners, experts in their field. So we have selected Box2Home as a carrier, we have selected Sogestron as a transport river provider, and Trusk for last mile. And we have brought all the expertise, we have combined it to redesign this new flow. And the challenge remains on, coordinate all the stakeholders. And you're right, also, when you think about coordination, you have also to coordinate with communities, because communities have good inputs and recommendation. And the result is collective intelligence make it achieved spectacular results. And honestly, we have faced challenges, but we were very determined to decarbonate our supply chain.
Now, talking about that, in fact, thank you, by the way, for telling us about this incredibly sort of new, innovative, but also complex project that you had to learn to put into place and learn to work with these new stakeholders. But reducing CO2 emissions and protecting our environment, that's now an objective in many companies, as well as for many people that are seeking purpose in their work. But it's also a domain that's evolving very, very fast. And so innovating in this space requires agility and new skills. How is IKEA ensuring that you have the skills to be able to deliver on your customer expectations and to deliver on your climate and environment objectives?
Yes, absolutely, you're right. I've learned a lot with this river project, but I've also developed specific skills, know-how, and I must not remain the only one to have this knowledge. The benefit for the company is I disseminate as much as possible to others my knowledge. And for that, I think we can have three steps. First of all, you have to formalize the thing. You have to write process, you have to write handbook, routines, to have something very concrete to share to each other. The second step is the formal handover from project perspective, to functional operation. Very formal. And the third step is ensure the transition and be in support during this transition time to secure the flow. So I think these three steps of handover could apply for every project.
That's fantastic to hear about sort of the collective intelligence that you had to bring in, but then also the transition and how you managed that project through. Now, IKEA has a keen sense of how we can create better lives for the future. Based on your vision of the future of society and the environment, what skills and expertise should the schools and universities be equipping our next generation of workers with?
I would say agility first, and navigate in the unknown, but also humbleness and togetherness. You should be aware that you don't know everything and you have to learn with each other. And perhaps to conclude, I would say that business is more than profitability, and non-financial criteria are increasingly crucial in this changing world.
Emilie, thanks so much for being with us here, and we wish you and everyone at IKEA all the best with your projects to learn and build a learning planet for working. I love that you mentioned humbleness there as well. That's something we've been hearing throughout the day. Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Continuing to think about the future of work, we know that artificial intelligence is already a huge change driver in the workplace. And although it may be relatively new technology to some of us, it's certainly nothing new to our next guest. Professor Tshilidzi Marwala has been studying and researching the theory of applications of artificial intelligence for decades already. His work spans the fields of engineering, social science, economics, politics, finance, and medicine. Today, Professor Marwala is the Rector of the United Nations University. That's the think tank and academic arm of the United Nations. And it has as its mission helping to resolve global issues relating to human development and welfare through collective collaborative research and education. And maybe you've already heard that the United Nations University and the LearningPlanet Institute have joined forces in this critical task. The two organizations announced at the end of 2023 their collaboration to develop research programs and improve access to education so as to address the major global challenges and issues of sustainable development. Now let's go over to Tokyo, where the United Nations University is headquartered, and hear a special message from Professor Marwala on this UNESCO International Day of Education. Hello, Professor Marwala.
Hello and bonjour to you all. I am delighted to address you all on behalf of the United Nations University on the Day of International Education at this wonderful festival organized by the LearningPlanet Institute in Paris, which we at the United Nations University fully support. I will speak about how artificial intelligence is requiring us to evolve and how these changes require adjustments also to our learning systems. As the COVID pandemic engulfed the world, AI proliferated alongside it. We were called to adapt globally as these changes happened rapidly and soon became commonplace in the workplace. Though there had long been predictions about this shift from futurists, the future of work has arrived and much quicker than anticipated. Since 2020, the use of AI has become increasingly widespread. People are calling for a learning revolution to keep up with the scope and breadth of changes. These are, however, some considerations for such a revolution. For example, how do we ensure inclusivity and diversity in this change, particularly as AI increasingly emanates from the global north? It is apparent that the fourth industrial revolution, which encompasses AI developments, is somewhat skewed, and that there is less representation in the global south. This requires more inclusive and representative data sets to train and inform algorithms, to reduce bias One of my recent research interests at the United Nations University is the use of synthetic data. That means data created by algorithms that reproduce some structural and statistical properties of real-world data that can address challenges such as data set scarcity, privacy, and bias issues, and raise concerns about data quality, security, and ethical implications. Embracing synthetic data in tandem with real data allows for the development of AI systems that are both robust and ethically sound, fostering innovation while respecting privacy concerns. Additionally, there needs to be further exploration and implementation of techniques that identify and mitigate biases. To achieve this, collaboration with AI researchers and institutions globally is required to incorporate diverse cultural and linguistic nuances in the models. Another issue I have worked on recently is cross-border data flow. As we consider what collaboration entails, it is clear that data flows facilitate worldwide access to extensive and varied data sets. The unrestricted flow of data across borders has the potential to empower nations in the global south, driving economic growth, enhancing access to crucial services, and advancing sustainable development. It offers the means to bridge the gap between the global south with the global north. Of course, there needs to be a push towards establishing and adhering to ethical guidelines that accompany the development and deployment of AI systems with a focus on fairness, transparency, and accountability. Our shifting context also necessitates a shift in our education systems. Here we must not only embrace technology, but actively learn about it. As our world becomes more intertwined with AI and related technologies, understanding these concepts and the convergence between sectors and technology becomes increasingly important. What is required is a forward-thinking curriculum that equips students to navigate the complexity of a technology-driven world and understand the future world of work. A transformative shift in the skills required is imperative, with the emphasis on communication, logical reasoning, and numerical proficiency starting at the school level. These foundational skills should seamlessly integrate into coding, computational thinking, and the comprehensive problem-solving approach. And I am impressed here, particularly by the suggestion by the LearningPlanet Institute and the pilots and programs the Institute is undertaking. Higher education must adopt a multidisciplinary approach, merging science and technology with human and social science, aligned with industry needs. Investment in large-scale skill development projects is also essential. These investments should be scalable to create an exponential pipeline of skilled individuals, ensuring alignment with market demands. While a significant challenge lies in equipping the vast unskilled population, particularly in the global south, there must be an equal emphasis on enhancing the skills of the existing workforce. Thus, alongside the reconfiguration of formal education systems, short-term interventions are essential for upskilling and reskilling the current workforce. We can no longer view education as finite. Rather, we must consider it as a lifelong process. We cannot and should not rest on our laurels, particularly in the realm of education. We must redefine the parameters as these changes unfold as Nazir Karim, who has extensively researched the interaction between the fourth industrial revolution and education, once said, and I quote, "There is a need to engage with the fourth industrial revolution critically and what it will mean in relation to where we are and what will be required of us educationally to ensure that it is we as human beings who will direct the ways the fourth industrial revolution will unfold rather than technology directing the way we need to think and be," close quote. These must remain at the fore of our minds as we embrace this revolution and adapt. In conclusion, and quoting Isaac Asimov, education is not something that you can finish. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Marwala, for your video message and that quote about what will be required of us educationally to ensure that it is us, human beings, who direct the ways the fourth industrial revolution unfolds, rather than technology directing the way we need to think and be. If you want to learn more about the intersection of artificial intelligence and learning, there are a number of sessions taking place during the festival you can check out. Later this afternoon at 18:30 Central European Time, there is a session called Exploring the Ethics of AI in Learning Contexts, which discusses the responsible and inclusive future of AI in learning. And on the 26th of January from 10 to 11:30 Central European Time, the Learning Planet's Ubuntu Learning Circle is co-hosting a session with the Club of Rome called the AI and African Development, a New Renaissance. More details on both these sessions are available on our platform. The URL is now showing on the screen. And if you're watching this episode of LP Vision on replay, you can find both these sessions and all the Learning Planets Festival on the Learning Planets YouTube channel. There is plenty of talk around artificial intelligence, but our next guests are very much focused on human purpose and enabling people to find a sense of meaning in their lives and work. Using the Japanese principles of Ikigai, the Learning Planet Institute has created a specific program called Ikigai Plus, enabling individuals of any age to identify what purpose through work and employment means to them. This not only has a positive impact on our society and environment, but also on individuals by bringing them dignity and value in their work. Here to tell us more about Ikigai Plus, we have two of the program builders, Ilia Lysenko in the studio and Jonas Stovik via video link. Thank you so much, Ilia and Jonas, for being here today. We're thrilled to have you. Jonas, I'll start with you. For our audience who might be new to the concept, can you explain to us and introduce us to the meaning of Ikigai and what the Ikigai Plus program is?
Yeah, for sure. So actually, I just looked it up to remember specifically what Ikigai means. And it literally translates as a reason for being. Like a reason for being. I think that's super powerful.
It is.
And what I find super valuable about the entire Ikigai concept is that it's really, really simple. So it's four different things that you use to look at your life. What you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what can sustain you, aka what can you make money on. And so it's really a way of trying to find balance in your life so that you don't just go and burn out in something that you're not connected to at all, or you're doing something that, while you really love it, you can't make money out of it. So I think it's a really good way to try and find better balance in your life, and it's a really good simple lens to quickly get an over. What's so genius is about the Ikigai Plus program is that you're introduced to the concept, and then there's lots of sessions following after that are each just giving you different lenses to understand these four different bubbles that overlap and intersect. And while you're discovering your strengths and finding things you love, and also thinking about, well, what do I think needs to change in the world? Then after that, there are sessions that guide you into, well, how can I take action? How can I create just a small prototype that's available right now? well, how can I do something that gets me on that path? And they do that online, which means that it's easily accessible for everyone in the world. And the facilitators are wonderful. And the sessions are also made in such a way that you can actually also go and just find the documents and go through the thing by yourself or with friends. So there'll be a mix of journaling prompts that you can use. There's lots of different models and content. And then there are space for discussion with other people who are following the program to also get some feedback.
Thank you for your eloquent explanation. And this brings me to the developmental process of Ikigai Plus. Ilia, how did you translate the philosophical principles of Ikigai into a practical and an accessible program?
Thank you, Reem. Thank you, Jonas, for giving this intro and being here. I think the question about how can we make this program practical, even when we talk about self-development or purpose intervention program, this question what we had in mind. How to make these philosophical principles be translated into particular skills and feasible tools that you could implement by participating in this transformative journey in a sense that you're taking. And I have to say that LPI has experience of 5 years of the Ikigai Lab working on and providing research, delivering trainings on that. In total, we delivered around 300 workshops, and more than 2,000 people found the Ikigais. So that was theoretical base for the program that we created for the Ikigai Plus. And tackling this issue that every workshop that we created and we designed, it has a particular set of feasible and tangible tools and skills that you acquire. For example, you start with Discover Your Ikigai. As Jonas said, there are a couple of different sessions over there. You start with little draft. You start to explore what you might like, what you don't like, what are the kind of challenges around there that kind of brings you to passion, brings you to life, that makes you wake up in the morning, that you'll be happy to face them and find solution. So that's the very, very beginning of the journey. And going on, we have a menu of 8 workshops that is tackling very different circles of the Ikigai, as Jonas explained earlier. And each workshop has a particular tool that you can learn and you can acquire some like new knowledge and as well some skill that you can implement straight away. And I think that is how we're managing to deliver this program, because given the feedback, I know we're going to talk a bit about the feedback later, we designed a new chapter recently, a couple months ago, which is based on design thinking and project management tools, which are focusing exactly how to make your Ikigai your life, how to bring this statement into the action, make a concrete planning, make a step-by-step visioning, and act on your Ikigai.
That's nice to hear, Ilia. Thank you. And of course, part of our purpose in life is working. And so this brings me to my question, Jonas. Today we are living and working for longer, and to keep motivated, we must seek out meaningful work. How does Ikigai Plus help us do this?
Well, the smart thing about it is that, first of all, you're with other people and you have a sort of program to help you look at these things in a more detailed way. And again, you have these 4 different circles that you can look at. And I think what it can really help you very clearly is find more balance of, well, am I really passionate about what I'm doing? Or is this actually doing good for the world? And is that something that really matters to me? And am I doing something that maybe shouldn't be mine to do because someone else could do it better? And I'm spending a lot of energy, a lot of resources on something that, yeah, I would flourish better in another way. So it's really a nice way to learn how to find more balance and to think about these things. And I think the thing that it's super simple makes it easy to keep in your mind. Because often what happens with these models is they're complicated and then you sort of get lost. Ikigai is very simple, so you can have it with you in the head also throughout your normal days.
That's wonderful. And now I'm curious to hear, Ilia, what feedback have you heard from people who have already been through the program?
It's a lovely question, thank you. So we ran the first iteration of the program this summer, and in total we have more than 150 people who signed up for the program and went through this. And we asked for extensive feedback with the numeric data, but also we scheduled one-on-one interviews to get the opinion and views. But before jumping to that, I really want to answer your question directly. We had an amazing session earlier today, Ikigai Wellbeing and Well-Doing in the LearningPlanet. And there was one comment from one of participants who went through the program, and she shared in the chat, "It is the best learning experience in my life. I was so lost what I'm doing. I was so lost with my university. I was so lost with my professional career. But after these weeks of journey, I finally found something that I really want to do." So I think this is a perfect example that we genuinely received this feedback. And the second thing that I cannot mention is that since we run this program through our global community of youth fellows who are hundreds of people all over the world, who are proactive, who have very solid positions, very smart and bright people. So this feedback that we received, it was very positive, but what's more important is that this feedback comes from very different backgrounds. We have participants who were students at schools, who are students at universities. We have participants who run in their NGOs or who are social activists. We have people who have experience, professional experience or career experience, and professional game changers already. So it's very diverse in terms of their professional paths. In addition, they come from very different regions, very different economic stations, very different spiritualities that they have. And that's what makes the program, I think, very valuable, is that we're trying to tackle the global community and global challenges, adapting and creating the program that's gonna be suitable and actually valuable for almost everyone in the world.
You know, as a participant of the Ikigai program myself, allow me to give you a live feedback right now in the studio. Me being part of this program, it was me going into the sessions for 1 hour and a half, and just recharging, getting in positive energy, connecting with people who are like-minded, who really understand what a game changer means. And so it was an amazing way for me to get inspired, and not just inspired in my work, or it was me being inspired in every other aspect in my life, whether it is my internship, whether it is my university, my work with my friends, my family, my relationships. So it's an amazing experience. And this brings me to the last question here, Jonas. For individuals who are asking how they can find and create meaningful work, what advice would you give them?
Well, of course, start the Ikigai Plus program. That's a good beginning. That's actually something that Pascal said in the beginning of that well-being program earlier today, or the session, that roughly speaking, we have around 80,000 hours in our working life. And so if you're going to be spending that much time on your career, then spending just a small fraction of that thinking about what you actually want to do with your life and what makes sense to you can be really, really good, well spent. It's like the idea of that ship that's going across the Atlantic Ocean, and it's like 2% off course. And suddenly that means it's going way, way in a different direction. And many people experience this thing of getting lost. So using something like the Ikigai Plus program is a good start. I think it's important that you also discuss with people that know you and look at, well, are there problems out there in the world that I care about, that I feel like I can contribute to? And ultimately, maybe if you care about it and you can find a way to do something, then that's something in you calling out and saying, that's something you should spend your energy on.
For our viewers, to find out more about the Ikigai Plus program available to both individuals and organizations, you can visit the LearningPlanet Institute's website. We're putting the URL up on the screen right now. Thank you so much, Jonas and Ilia, for being here today with us. It was really an inspiration to hear you both and to hear about the Ikigai Plus program.
Nice to talk to both of you.
Thank you.
Now, in order to build a learning planet for work, we need to take a look at how work has changed and how it is evolving. Our next guest is a true architect for tomorrow who has been practicing his craft of activism and building civic movements for decades. He has witnessed firsthand how the work has changed and how very different these changes can be in different countries around the world. Today, Kumi Naidu is the Senior Advisor and Director at the Community Arts Network, but he started his career in political activism in South Africa and has since led global movements like Greenpeace and Amnesty International. Kumi is an expert on mobilizing individuals and civic groups for transformative action on climate, environment, and humanitarian causes. We got a chance to ask him some questions so we can learn how the work of activism has evolved and how citizens, ordinary people, and civic society can work together to bring extraordinary change. Let's hear what Kumi has to say.
Dear friends and colleagues of the Learning Planet Festival, we gather here today at a time when the world is in deep crisis. Some have called it a boiling point, perfect storm, convergence of crisis, or more recently, often a polycrisis. In a moment like this, it is only natural that those of us who are struggling to create a more just, more equitable, and more sustainable world might be feeling a sense of desperation. But I want to start my message by saying that pessimism in the moment of history that we find ourselves in is a luxury we simply cannot afford. And the pessimism of our analysis can best be overcome by the optimism of our thought, our actions, our creativity, and our courage. When we look at how activism has evolved over years, today we are faced with a troubling question. As Albert Einstein once said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to get different results. There are some things about activism that work very well, and there are some things that must be added or changed. So let me focus on that now. Firstly, one of the main challenges that we've had is that the narratives, the messages that we seek to educate and mobilize and organize people is far too often aimed at the head. When we look at the rise of fascism now in the world, we see those that are promoting fascism ignore facts and don't focus on the head at all. They go straight to the heart, where they weaponize identities and a whole range of other things to create a us versus them world, look for divisions and so on. So it's critically important that those of us seeking a more just world must be willing in this moment of history to start thinking about how we address people with greater respect, with greater sense of urgency, and with greater accessible narratives that make sense to people. Now, I'm not saying we should do what the fascists like Donald Trump do, which is to tell lies, but facts can be presented in a way that we do so much more creatively and so on. And that is why in this moment of history that we find ourselves, we have to harness the power of arts and culture for the kinds of changes we need to address the climate crisis as well as the intersecting crisis. Now, harnessing the full power of arts and culture alone will not deliver us the results that we need. However, I would say quite explicitly that without harnessing the full power of arts and culture for social change, we don't stand a chance to make a difference. The second thing that needs to change is our mistake of access for influence. What do I mean by this? Some have called this, we need to move away from handshake activism. So over the last 20 years, in many countries as well as at global institutional level like UN structures and so on, we have seen more and more access for civil society to engage, and many of us have struggled to win that access. But if I'm brutally honest with you, as a head of Greenpeace, Amnesty, Civicus, and other organizations, when I've met heads of states, ministers, and other senior officials, I can safely say that when I went into those meetings, I knew what they were going to say, they knew what I was going to say, I knew how the meeting will end, they knew how the meeting will end. It was a ritualistic exercise. We deluded ourselves that those meetings required massive investments of our time, effort, and so on. And in fact, in reality, those that we were meeting on the government or corporate sector side ticked off a box saying civil society consulted, and we ticked off a box saying government or corporate sector lobbied against. Now, I'm not saying that we should never meet with governments at all, or never meet with business to push them to do the right thing, but the proportionality of our investment needs to change. We need to change our gaze. Rather than looking to those with power and appealing to them as beggars to do the right thing, we need to look more and more at the role of ordinary people in all the fights in this moment of history that we face. Given the scale of the climate crisis, we will need to mobilize a level of participation that we have never seen before. Now, what are the other challenges that we face is the absence of intersectionality. And we have operated in the past far too much in silos: human rights, development, democracy, children's rights, and so on. We need to bring these struggles together and understand the intersectionality between these struggles. If we continue to operate in the silos that we often seem still to be operating, we will not have the success and the impact that we need. One of the things that we face today is also the challenge of climate anxiety, or eco-anxiety as we call, and therefore we are seeing a growing mental health crisis globally, and we ignore addressing the question of the mental health of both activists as well as the communities with which we work at our own peril. It is critically important that we act with a much greater sense of intersectionality. As I conclude, I want to suggest to you that there will be some really difficult days moving forward. The signs on the face of it might appear really daunting, but I believe in the power to make extraordinary change. And if we look at history, that's been the reality. And at this moment, we need to be acknowledging that the struggle for justice is a marathon, and therefore we need to have fortitude, the persistence, the courage, and the stamina to continue to face the injustices of our time in a way that so each and every one of this conference are well. Sorry, I cannot be with you. But I want to say that you're asking is the right kinds of questions that we need to ask more urgently. I wish you very well in your efforts and look forward to 2024 being a year of success and progress for the fight for climate justice, the fight for gender justice, the fight for economic justice, and the fight for all the other intersecting injustices. Bear in mind that oftentimes we are led to accept that we don't matter. We matter, you matter, the voice of every citizen on this planet matters, and it is the challenge of activism moving forward to find the way to communicate with humility and with persuasion to bring people into the fight for humanity's survival. And your conference is contributing to that, and I thank you for your efforts, and I wish you well in your deliberations. Muchas gracias, merci beaucoup, asante sana, shukran, thank you very, very much.
Thanks so much for sharing your insights on the future of activism and artivism, Kumi. As we can see, work in all its forms is going to keep evolving as our challenges and new opportunities arise, which is why we dedicated this episode of LP Vision to building a learning planet for working. If you want to learn more about Artivism, make sure you catch the Learning Planet Assembly Artivism session taking place online Saturday the 27th of January at 1400 Central European Time. You can find more information and the link to join on the Learning Planet's platform, which we will put on the screen right now.
Now, the transformation of education and learning needs to be intrinsically connected to the future of work. And we hope that through this episode and by hearing from speakers like Professor Marwala and Ilia and Jonas, you can see that there are many people around the globe already working on this critical issue. These are the architects for tomorrow that are already building a learning planet for working. At LP Vision, we seek to create connections between those building the future of teaching, learning, and assessments, and those building our future companies, technologies, economies, and organizations. But we've only had a chance to hear from a handful of individuals and about a small number of projects during our episodes today. Luckily, we have the Learning Planet Alliance's platform. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Here, this is where you can find, connect, and take part in initiatives and transformative actions being driven by the Alliance's global network. It's more than 400 organizations and thousands of individuals. So, if you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out the platform and meet other architects for tomorrow. The URL is on the bottom of the screen.
And if you're a young game changer, make sure you apply to become a Learning Planet Youth Fellow and meet people like you already making a difference to the world around them. If you're a teacher, make sure you check out our Teachers for the Planet program to connect with resources and other education professionals looking to advance learning to take care of our planet.
Now, we hope you've enjoyed hearing from our architects for tomorrow. And if you've missed any of our earlier episodes, those on building a learning planet for living and for learning, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, as you can find all of our LP Vision episodes available for replay right there.
We want to thank all our architects, Emilie Carpels, Professor Marwala, Ilia Lysenko, Jonas Sovic, and Kumi Naidu for joining us here today on LP Vision. We're wrapping up this episode on building a learning planet for working now, but stay tuned as we have two final guests for you who are going to share the recap of all we've heard today on LP Vision. Thanks, and see you soon.
Welcome to LP Vision, the Learning Planet Alliance's series dedicated to building a bridge between the worlds of education, business, and society, and where we seek out those that are creating positive new ways for us to live, learn, and work. My name is Kristen Davis. I'm the host of LP Vision, and over the course of the last 3 hours of our live broadcast, we've asked, how can we build a learning planet? And we've been speaking with world-class architects for tomorrow. People that are shaping and creating the way we live, learn, and work. We seek them out and bring them to you because at the Learning Planet, we believe that education must go beyond the traditional classroom and curriculum so as to enable us to learn to take better care of ourselves, each other, and our planet.
Hi there, my name is Reem Najjar. With Kristen, I co-host LP Vision. And throughout our LP Vision episodes, we've been highlighting 3 areas we believe are the building blocks for a learning planet: intergenerational societies, lifelong learning, and transformative action. We've been hearing from young architects for tomorrow, young game changers from around the globe, because at the Learning Planet, we strongly believe that the youth play a critical role in building the future of education. And so giving them the mic and hearing their voices is an intrinsic part of everything we do. And that's exactly what we're doing now as we invite Raven Frias, a Learning Planet Master Student and Youth Council member, alongside François Taddei, founder and president of the Learning Planet Institute. They will identify the key points and learnings they picked out from our architects for tomorrow, and we want to hear how their perspectives differ and align. They're also going to tell us what, as architects for tomorrow themselves, they're working on, and specifically about the Planetism University initiative. Raven and François, welcome to LP Vision and this recap episode on building a learning planet. We can't wait to hear your takeaways from our 3 episodes for living, for learning, and for working.
Thank you so much, Reem, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Kristen, as well. Again, I'm Raven Frias. I'm an education activist from the Philippines. I'm a Learning Planet Youth Fellow, and now I'm also a master's student in Learning Sciences in the Learning Planet Institute, and I'm honored to be here, joined by François Taddei, the CEO, the Chief Exploration Officer of the Learning Planet Institute. So, François, all throughout this day, we've been hearing voices from game changers from all around the world, nonprofit organization leaders, teachers, young game changers, leaders in their own way. And I wanted to ask you how you felt from all the sharings that we've been hearing.
I've been amazed by the quality and the diversity, and I really enjoy the fact that it was very intergenerational. We got, leaders of international organizations like Stefania Giannini and the Rector Marwala, but we also got, amazing young people, down to 14-year-old. And, I love, we heard about eco-anxiety from the adults, but we heard about eco-hope from the youngest person that was presenting. And I really like this contrast. And I really believe that it's this intergenerational co-construction that makes me very hopeful from everything that we've heard.
I definitely agree with you, François. For me personally, I felt mainly three things. I felt very empowered because I now know that there are people all around the globe that are very passionate, working towards education, changing it. And these people are younger than me even. I'm 24 years old, and I'm very empowered to know that even 9-year-olds, even 13-year-old children can already contribute to changing the way we learn and the way we teach. I'm also very excited to know that we have platforms such as the Learning Planet Youth Festival to convene these game changers and talk about action points and talk about collaboration. And lastly, François, I feel very challenged. I feel like we live in a very critical time, as we heard from today, and all the steps that we've been taking together and all the steps that we're going to take in the future will be very crucial for the future generations. And what about you? You are an architect for tomorrow yourself. What are you building?
Well, first, I think that everything that we can build is going to be built together. Okay, I don't think that any one of us has the ability to do everything. Okay, what the only thing we can do is maybe co-construct. Okay, is taking the time to talk to one another, hear everyone's need, everyone's resource, and see how they can be combined. We heard, for instance, about the Ikigai. Okay, the Ikigai is for every individual to align with the needs of the planet and the resources that you can find in your community, but also the resources that you have and the resources and the needs that you have. And if you can align these needs and resource at the personal level, the community level, and the planetary level, then I think there is a big hope because we can together converge. And I think that's typically what we've heard, not only from our friends developing the Ikigai program here, but from the students wanting to have more curiosity-driven things, or be able to explore the possible. And I think that creating a space for students to explore, to be curious, to dream, and to turn their dreams into reality is really what I think we should aim for. I mean, we've done a part of the path in building the Learning Planet Alliance, in building the Learning Planet Institute, but indeed I think we've heard briefly about the idea of Planets University, but I'll be interested to know for you as a student why there is a need for something like this. Why do you feel like the planet is, and why do you think we should move forward with these sorts of ideas?
That's a really great question. So we heard a lot about having a lot of critical minds and helpful hands from all over the world wanting to change education. And for me, that's my passion as well. And I moved here to France, and I'm doing my master's in learning sciences. And I realized, what we have here in Paris is extra special. And at the back of my head, I'm always thinking, I want this to be known by everyone. Or even more so, I want this to be available to everyone. And we're actually already doing a lot of steps towards that. We're lobbying to co-construct the future of education with young people here at LPI, here at, we went to UNGA, we went to UNESCO Youth Forum, and we're doing a lot of design sessions. And now we have a university design challenge that is available in the LearningPlanet.org website. But François, I wanted to ask you about this initiative. What do you think having Planetizen University will enable us to do together? How will we be able to tackle global challenges through this Planetizen University?
Well, first, I believe universities are very special places. Okay, universities are places where you have the use and the expertise and the knowledge of also the local conditions. Okay, so there is amazing universities across the world. The thing is that they are not evolving as fast as the world needs and as the students need. And so I think that, universities do research on nearly everything, but very rarely on themselves, on their mission, and on what they can do to empower the youth in the age of AI, in the age of climate change, in the age of, COVID and all the crises that we've heard of today. And so I think that a Planetizen University should be designed for the 21st century and for your generations and the generation to come.
Exactly.
And so, universities are historically been designed by, older white men like me. And I think that, being in positions of power, they've optimized the structure for themselves much more than for, your generation. And they were not historically very inclusive places, say women took centuries before they were accepted in universities. So if you were to redesign with youth and especially with women from all over the planet, how would you do that? Typically, if you take into account the needs of Afghan women, for instance, that are typically still deprived of higher education, how can we do these things differently? Can we hear the students' voice? Can we hear their needs? And when we look at the design challenge, we see that many of them have amazing ideas. And, tomorrow we'll hear more about them. They are all available on the website of the Learning Planet. And so you can have a look and, decide for yourself which one you would want to support. I would like to support all of them if I could.
Exactly.
Okay. And so can we incubate those projects and take them one or two steps further?
I definitely agree with you. And I feel very inspired to know that we have these initiatives, we have ideas from young people, and they are being taken to the global stage. And there is a possibility for them to be a reality. So I think that's my key takeaway from today, is that individually we can do a lot of things for sure. It's like patchwork, it's like sewing. In itself, it's very beautiful, but if you put it collectively, it definitely belongs to a bigger picture, and it's more beautiful, it's more impactful that way. What about you, François? Do you have any final message or key takeaway from today?
Oh, well, I really like your metaphor of sewing or even weaving, because if each of us weave in, different threads, we've heard beautiful threads today, okay? If only all those threads could be, woven together into ever larger fabric, we can build a new tapestry for the future. And I don't know if it's going to be a flying carpet or whatever else, but I think we can invent something that is scaled. And so we are basically trying to see this. And I think that, this ability for co-designing the future together and doing in this intergenerational way, I think is quite powerful. And we've heard amazing people from different generations. And I want to underline the fact that the institutions were also there. And so this ability to be listening to both the bottom-up people on the ground and sometimes even underground activists, and hear that, the upper ground institutions would like to work together and join forces. I think that's really very powerful and inspirational. So it can really help us to move forward. We have 30 more seconds. You have the last word. That's what the youth should have.
My last words, maybe it's that activism, advocacy, and transformative action is really like a patchwork. Individually, we're okay, but it would be more powerful if we join forces and create what François said, the tapestry of tomorrow.
Thank you so much to you, Raven and François, for that resume of our 3 LP Vision episodes and for updating us on the Planet as a University initiative. It's been super interesting to hear what you each picked up on over the last 3 hours of our live broadcast and our 3 special episodes for this UNESCO International Day of Education.
Yes, now our LP Vision live broadcast for this year's Learning Planet Festival is coming to a close. But our work at LP Vision to create connections between building the future of education and learning and those building our future companies, technologies and economies doesn't stop here. The Learning Planet Alliance's platform is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to enable you to find, connect and take part in initiatives and transformative actions around the globe. This work is being driven by the Alliance's global network of 400 organizations and thousands of individuals. So if you've enjoyed watching LP Vision, make sure you check out the platform to meet our other architects for tomorrow and to collaborate alongside with them. The URL is on the bottom of the screen.
If you're a young game changer, make sure you apply to become a Learning Planet Youth Fellow and meet people like you and me and all the youth we've heard today already making a difference to the world around them. And if you're a teacher, make sure you check out our Teachers for the Planet program to connect with resources and other education professionals looking to advance learning to take care of our planet.
Now, we hope you've enjoyed hearing from our architects for tomorrow. And if you've missed our earlier episodes on building a learning planet for living, for learning and for working, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, as you can find all of our LP Vision episodes right there, available for replay. So thanks so much to you, Reem, for co-hosting with me today.
It's been a pleasure, Kristen. Thank you all for watching and see you all again soon on LP Vision. Goodbye.